Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shepard, and I'm joined by Monica Lawrence. Oh, hi. Completing Bad Monkey Week. We had Vince on Monday.
Yep.
Which aired on Tuesday. Just kidding. Call back, fast forward, Easter egg.
Fast forward, go backwards, roll
and
over.
then today, of course, we have Bill Lawrence, who is one of the co-creators of Bad Monkey, but he's also a writer, a director, a producer, award-winning. He created
one
Scrubs,
of the biggest showrunners of all time.
created Scrubs, co-created Cougar Town, co-created Shrinking, Ted Lasso, Spin City, and now Bad Monkey.
Legend.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
And a sweetie.
Yeah.
And a good boy.
Really, really good boy.
Yeah.
And cool guy. He's a cool guy.
Well, especially when he had his tips frosted during
Very cool.
Spin Shitty.
Yeah.
Ding,
As
ding,
you'll
ding.
hear, that's not our
That's not
thing.
us.
That's not our thing.
No.
Bill says that.
That's Bill.
That's all Bill.
Please enjoy Bill Lawrence.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Well, I wrote on Friends when I was a kid, and the joke was that I was Maddie's fatter younger brother, and then fatter older brother, and then skinnier older brother, and then skinnier younger brother.
Yeah.
Because Maddie was, up and down.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, this is already too exciting. Pull your microphone close. You wrote on Friends?
First year, yeah, I got fired.
You did.
Oh, we gotta hear about
wonderful.
that.
Yeah. Pull your microphone close. What, Rob? Do you want a cup of coffee?
No, I caffeined up. I was nervous because I was thinking about talking about it. I don't know if you remember it the same way I do, and there's kind of seminal moments when you're a kid, but I think there was a window that I was almost going to be friends with you.
Yeah, I know it exactly. Hugo's restaurant?
Yeah. And then you were really kind to me and asked me to come see a screening of Chips. And I choked and I didn't go. It was early on in the process. And I'll tell you why later if you want, but I have a really bad history of seeing anybody I likes things.
And then they fail?
But no, because you ever read, there's a essay famous among writers that's it's called No, I Don't Want to Read Your Fucking Screenplay.
The greatest thing ever, written by the guy who wrote History of Violence.
Yeah, look at you, dude. So so
best op-ed of all time.
I blew up so many things in my life and career that I stopped getting asked to work on pilots and stopped being asked by friends to go to screening because I would literally go, you want me to say it's awesome and give a couple jokes, or you want me to tell you what I'd do? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm so bad at it. And I don't know if you remember this, but I extricated myself. I'm like, I don't think I can go. And I had committed to it too. So I felt like a douchey guy because I really
I don't have any memory of that.
I have memory of it. I'm like, oh, well, you have these little moments as a kid that you're almost like, you and I could shoot the shit for hours and hours. We had a dumb meeting about something.
Yeah.
But
we're going to get into it.
I just felt like, oh shit, I don't have a lot of Hollywood friends, and I had a chance to connect with you, and I didn't do it. I chickened out.
Well, as often happens when I give amends to people, they don't remember what I'm talking about. And in fact, I might be like incriminating myself by even you know what I'm saying? They're like, well, A, I'm not sure I knew you stole my Vicodin, but now that I know, let me process that. So I have no memory of you not showing. You know, when you direct a movie, like there's so much happening and test screenings and fucking all those screenings, and you're in the editing bay. Like, who was coming? Like that whole. I'll tell you the most significant thing about the Chips thing that really frames it is Delta turned 1 year old.
Yeah,
and I see photos of her birthday party, and I'm like, I don't remember being there. Like, I don't remember at all.
Yeah.
Because I was just
You're buried.
So buried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do that shit anymore. I leave work for kids. I did,
Yes.
But I was doing the same thing back then, man.
Yeah, because you're panicked that the thing you've just spent 2.5 years of your life on is or isn't going to work.
And that you don't think you're ever going to get the chance again. We were shooting the shit about Spin Shitty. We call it Spin Shitty, but Spin City.
Love
I was like, do you want to take that back and try it again?
My buddies and I, because we worked 45 days in a row to start that show off, and including Saturdays and Sundays, and a lot of us were married and all relationships fell apart. So the guy Gary Goldberg, my mentor, passed away. The Christmas gift, which he thought was funny but was not funny, he gave all the writers beds, like really deluxe cots for their offices.
Yeah. It's like an abusive. like getting your prostitute.
Hey, congrats! You'll be here forever.
Yeah.
A key.
Getting her like fur-covered handcuffs.
Yeah. For you.
But let's start with your and I's history because it's fun, and then I want to know the personal history
And friends. And we have already so much to cover.
Yeah.
No,
so
you're gonna be
many
able to
pins.
anything.
Okay, great.
I'm done.
So, as my memory serves,
Yes.
and maybe you'll have a different opinion, but I believe the first time we met was you were about to direct Fletch.
Yeah, I was writing and directing Fletch.
And kind of what's already great and funny about that right out of the gates is, as you and I have talked about many times, I am regularly confused for Zach Braff.
Yep.
And he was attached
Yep.
to be in it.
Yep.
And so when he left, how many people before you thought, well, I know there's
I know there's a
he's
guy
got
that
a
looks
twin.
like him.
There's a Gentile version of him. Should we want to explore
Dude, it was
that?
there's only because it was a shit show too because it's such a weird thing to talk about because you know it was Harvey Weinstein. Did you know that?
Oh,
It was fucked up because I was definitely seduced because I was a young TV writer kid and Harvey came. He's like, "You're gonna write and direct this," and he took me to all these award shows and was dragging me around. I was
and is
supposed
that
to-
how he positioned it? Like, you're going to do this.
You're gonna be
Like,
the
very
comedy
sick.
Quentin, you know? And I was 27, 26.
You were in the thick of Scrubs, yeah?
Yeah, it was right in the middle. It was like the third year Scrubs,
Okay.
and I was a huge Greg McDonald fan. I actually got to know him, the guy that wrote the Fletch books before he passed away. He passed away from pancreatic cancer, and just an awesome guy and a crazy good writer. And I was obsessed with it. And I didn't necessarily think Zach was the right guy, but you know, Harvey had just done a bunch of movies with Zach, and he's like, "You'll do it with Zach."
And like anyone your age, my age, Zach's age,
Yeah.
we're all obsessed with Fletch.
Yeah, but you're obsessed with it until you consider doing it,
yeah.
and then the burden of it, you're like, "Oh, this is a huge mistake."
Yes. Redoing Casablanca.
I know, right? But the only four guys I spoke to was Zach, and then right when I took the gig, he's like, "I don't think I'm going to do it." I'm like, "That's okay. I still want to do it anyways." It was you, and it was you because I not only had I seen you on Punked a bunch and stuff and around, but you had done some. I'm going to botch the title.
That's
you were
okay.
an astronaut, and you were so
Zathura.
charismatic. Zathura, you were so
Yeah.
charismatic. You know what I mean? In that movie, he
thank
was.
You just proved exactly why that movie didn't work. You couldn't remember the name.
I know.
We've
It
talked
flows
about it a
off the
million
tongue.
times.
You guys going to see Zathura this weekend?
Exactly.
People are like, I really want to see this movie. I don't want to look like a fucking asshole ordering the ticket and saying it wrong. Fuck it. I'll go see whatever. Chicken Little.
Let's see Zathura. But it was only you, John Krasinski, and Krasinski.
Yeah.
John Krasinski.
He also
and,
goes by Krasinski.
Sure. And then I knew Ryan Reynolds for a long time. So it
Oh,
was
this
Ryan.
is a
God,
flattering
stacked.
batch.
And that was it.
Bill.
That was the gang.
Okay, so you and I meet at Hugo's. Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
I assume that was your spot.
It was.
as
I
you-
used to get breakfast there. I lived close there up in the hills at that time. I was single guy
Where'd you shoot Scrubs?
at a deserted hospital on Riverside,
Oh.
Coldwater Riverside.
Very
yeah.
close to there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a perfect
Yeah, come on.
peach pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, home base for you.
Yeah, please.
So I came to you,
Yes.
your home base. By my recollection, had the most dazzling breakfast.
It was awesome.
I remember I went going like, I'm not going to be in. Let me back up. There's even a little more context. I had a couple stinkers in a row. As much as you liked me in Zathura, it
Yeah.
did not work.
Yeah.
Right? It did not make money. And so it's not like I was in a position to be choosy. I wasn't. I was even panicked at that moment. But so I'm like, I'm just so flattered this dude would want to meet me to be a lead of a movie he's directing, but also I can't do it. So
Yeah.
what do? Well, I go. And then I fall in love with you. We have so much fun.
Yeah, still, I don't even think we talked about the movie that much. We were just shooting the shit and making each other laugh.
I
for
think we
most
both
of the time.
acknowledge it shouldn't be done in some version.
Yeah, it was a horrible clear mistake for everybody.
And you were under this crazy time crunch, as I recall, that if you didn't get it up and moving,
I had to
by a-
start it within 6 weeks, or I was in violation of a Disney contract on Scrubs.
So we meet, and I love you. It's to the degree where I'm like, maybe I just do it anyways, even though it's a terrible idea.
Even though
So I
it's
can
a
hang with this guy. I have a lot of
idea.
confidence in his vision and his talent. But by some miracle, I didn't. And then my punchline is maybe 4 weeks after that, I was in New York. I
Yeah.
had never met Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah,
And I was at Bungalow 8,
sure.
made famous by that's where he was
Yeah, no, I
jerking
know.
off in the
dude.
bushes.
I know.
So I'm just standing in this club. I'm kind of enamored with the whole thing. I've not been there more, maybe twice. And all of a sudden someone comes up behind me and grabs me, and I hear in my ear, "Is this the guy who's too much of a big shot to be in my movie?" And I turn around and it's him.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So
and
he
he's-
did grab you.
Oh, good point.
Still counts.
Oh,
It counts.
congratulations.
You can count that.
We'll count it.
Yeah, I turn around and it's him, and he's almost like a comic book character. You know him.
He's a supervillain, right?
Yeah.
I got so creeped out by the whole thing because I had to meet with him. You know, is at the Peninsula Hotel, and I would meet with him. He'd have meetings stacked up like 10 in a row, and he would be packing egg whites onto his fork like snowballs with his free hand. You know, nom, nom. And it was definitely like eating, meeting with a Star Wars villain. I wish. Here's the thing, though, right? So John Hamm did it. Do you see it?
I didn't see it. I did interview him. I watched some clips, and I was like, I think they went another direction, which was probably
They
smart.
did the books. Like, books weren't. Chevy turned it into kind of a Silent Live sketch. The books were dark and sordid and underbelly and
film noir-y.
Yeah, you know. And I was going to try to do that. I was probably really lucky that I did not.
Yeah.
But Harvey ended up suing me. You ever hear the whole story? The whole story of that is the end of this thing, but it's my introduction to movies and why I probably never did movies again. I bailed because none of you guys wanted to do it. The only smart thing I had done was I said that you couldn't use my screenplay unless I directed it. Because I wasn't chasing writing movies. I had done a show like that before.
Yeah.
And so when I left, I'm like, yo, this isn't working, and I got to go back to Scrubs. He's like, yeah, all right, we'll just have someone else direct your screenplay. And I was like, no, you can't. And then I was working on a television show, and my screenplay was delivered to all the networks as, do you want to make this a TV show owned by him? And he's like, I can't legally make it a movie, but I can legally make it a crappy TV show. So, and so it became a legal fight. Wow. Yeah, isn't that weird? Just, it was interesting only in a glimpse of Hollywood as a dude that when the coin flips is so ruthless and immediately like, I'll fuck everything up about your career right now, 27-year-old, unless I can have this. And I just ran away and hid.
I remember the first time I got sued, my lawyer called me and he said, I have good news and bad news.
Yeah.
The good news is you've officially arrived.
Has that happened to you yet?
We've had a cease and desist.
Oh, that's cool.
That counts.
That counts a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd like to leave it at cease and desist. I'm not really looking.
You don't need to
I
go-
don't want to go full sue.
No.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, you're happy to like 3/4 arrive.
Yeah. That's too high of a mountain for me.
Cut to then our next interaction, again, as I remember it, maybe I'm wrong, was I was lucky enough to get invited via Kimmel to Howard Stern's house.
Yes.
And so Kristen and I went, and Molly and Jimmy went, and you came over for dinner one night.
Yeah. My wife is an actress, Kristen Miller. She's she's in a bunch of my shows and the Drew Carey Show and stuff. She has been a Howard super fan and on one of the, a regular guest on the show in his circle forever and ever and ever. So I get to glom onto her.
This wouldn't shock you, but my main memory of our interaction was you describing the Myers-Manx doom buggy that her brother had.
That's
that he
insane.
Would drive on the
I was just with her
beach.
brother there looking at the shell of that thing because it's dead. You know what I mean? And it's dead in his house out in Montauk. But yeah, that thing was amazing. It was so fun, man.
And then the other thing I'd say we have in common is Ricky.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say one other thing that you skipped over quick, though, is that Zach Braff constantly pitching me a movie about two identical twin brothers that were, I think he said it was your idea. Or, yes.
It's called Nature versus Nurture.
There you go, by the way. That's the only other thing I remember.
Two
Because he's
identical
like, have you heard
twin-
Dax's idea? It's so good. It's so good. I get raised by a Jewish family on the Upper East Side, and Dax gets raised like in the Deep South.
Yeah, in Appalachia. And let's see what nurture did to this equation.
It would be great.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
What's really fun, and I'm sure Zach was very transparent about it, is over the years as he and I ebb and flow in different ways. Like sometimes he's the king, he's got a lot of rhythm and leverage. And I think maybe the time I pitched him the idea, he was really on top and I wasn't. And he didn't love the idea as much as at some point he came to like it. I think we even talked about that when I interviewed him.
Like it does seem interesting.
Hold on a second.
I want to get back to that idea of
circling
yours.
back.
Yeah.
Wait, I want to know how you met your wife.
Oh shit. She was the star of the Drew Carey Show, and I was doing Spin City, and we had to go. Remember, there used to be upfronts at network television and stuff. And I lived in Soho. I had a loft at the corner of Prince and Mercer, and I was cool for about 10 minutes. And I was very lucky because the guy that she dated at the time, an actor, was being a jerk and didn't go to the party with her. And she came on her own. And there's a funny story about this play. So she came, and I can't even name names. So she came on her own. I met her, but she was dating someone, whatever. She was probably the first woman that I became friends with without dating or hooking up or whatever. So I became friends with her over a year just 'cause I thought she was funny, and we had mutual friends, and I was shooting the shit with her all the time. And don't get me wrong, I was trying, and I was in New York, she was in LA doing Drew, and I kept going, hey, you should stop dating tiny actors, because all the actors she dated were very short. Right? They're like little guys that could ride around on her shoulder and stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, it's so nice to meet you. And that was me shaking their little hand. And hi. And I'm like, you should date a comedy writer. You know, they're much less. This is the worst moment of my life, by the way. This is a bad moment because I'm talking about.
I want to hear what they're much more introverted,
True.
resentful at actors.
Well, they don't. The only thing I had was they maybe don't glance in a mirror on their way out with you. You know what I mean? I have a buddy that we made fun of. We play basketball with. I won't name him because he's a working actor. But our favorite part is in this tiny gym in Beverly Hills. There's a ballet mirror on the wall, and every time he scores, you can watch him backpedaling. Just kind of
checking out
just
the
giving a
coverage.
look. Yeah. That was that angle. Is that good?
Hey, if you can't see the camera, it can't see you.
But my wife finally called me up, and she goes, "This is such a bad moment for me." She goes, "You know what? I've decided to finally break down and date a comedy writer," and I thought it was me.
Well, of
And
course.
she goes, she goes, "I think you know him." I'm like, "I bet I do."
Let me guess, does he have dazzling blue eyes? The color of aquamarine.
He's so funny. I don't know if he's so funny all the time. And she's like, "Les Firestein." I'm like, "Les Firestein."
Oh, that's great. Who's Wes Firestein?
He
Is
was,
he an
he was a
enormous-
super successful comedy writer for a long time. But
How long did that
Very
last?
you know what? He made me. I lucked out because this is when I knew I was in. You can tell me as a woman if it works. So I still talk to her like once or twice a week as a friend. And then after 3 months, I got a call, and she's like, "Hey, my boyfriend says she doesn't want me talking to you as much on the phone." I'm like, "Oh, cool, I get it." I'm like, "Oh, I'm in."
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
He knew
Yeah.
that you were a threat.
that Thanksgiving, she left a note on my door in New York. She said, "I'm around. I was hoping you're in town." I called her up and said, "You better be single." And she was, and she went to Cabo with me and a bunch of randos that Christmas. It was very
wow.
crazy. Yeah. We were married like 5 months later.
And you've been married 25 years.
Yeah.
Long time.
99?
I've been married 25 years. I was 27 years total because I was married for a year and a half when I was 22.
Oh,
I got you. So I feel you. Okay, so cumulatively, you've been
Sure.
married, but just to her, though, 25
To her,
years.
25.
Yeah.
Super proud
great.
year and a half marriage when I was a kid.
Well, sometimes you got to get it out.
Yeah, right.
You're
Marriage
changing.
practice?
Yeah, starter.
Sure.
Do you feel protective of your reputation? You have an immaculate reputation in this business.
Oh, that's so
Everyone
kind.
speaks, understandably, so highly of you.
Almost a suspicious lack of enemies, I would say.
No enemies, zero enemies.
Like, what's the sword
You're
underneath?
like, Jack
it's fairly
Black,
dark.
I guess, in that way. Like, there's like everyone just really likes you, and do you feel like I really want to protect that? I mean,
I'm so hyper protective about it and spent so much of my youth worrying about what people thought of me. I'm trying to conquer it now. I was not a big therapy guy younger, and I've really buried myself in it of the last 5 years because, as a guy that hit 50 to still be worrying about what other people think.
yeah.
As you do better and better, don't you feel like we live in a toxic climate that if you're doing well, people want to go boom, like that a little bit? So
And we talk about it a lot. I mean, my take on it is, and by the way, I'm cynical by nature, but I'm not so cynical that I think people are that bad as much as I think the power of story is so powerful, which is they've gone to the top. What is the rest of the story?
Yeah.
Unless you build a mountain next to that mountain that's higher for them to climb, we don't have much option but to see the down. You know what I'm saying? These things are really powerful. And I almost just think it's like people clap, 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 clap. And then you're there and they go like, yeah. So I know the only thing that could be next is a fall.
Yeah. Well, by the way, at this point, That's why I was so messed up and I had to get some help, is that the narcissism that, is buried deep in your head of that people are going to give a shit about, something 20 years ago that no one cared but me. I should be better at this because I've had, so many peaks and valleys in my life and career. I didn't think I'd have another little renaissance at 55. So it's definitely been very weird,
which is really exciting. And I do want to know about navigating those valleys. That's I've had many of them myself.
I'm really bad at it. Are you? I got a lecture when I was. I don't know why they thought it was I got managers that managed all comics. They both died. Howard West and George Shapiro. These guys that. Did you ever see Man on the Moon? That movie with Danny DeVito and Jim Carrey.
Yep.
Danny DeVito played my manager.
Oh,
George
wow.
Shapiro. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
he had managed.
Yeah, he had married Andy Kaufman back in the day.
Oh, wow.
And, old school
what
guys.
stories he must have.
Oh my God. And those guys used to get mad at me because I was so bad at the valleys, because Hollywood is so like talking about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And every time I was in a valley, somebody would be like, "What's going on?" I'd be like, "Nothing. I'm lucky I got out of my boxers today." You know what I mean? I was lying fetal till about noon. And then they're like, "That's not what you do. You say you're working on stuff."
Don't be honest.
I stopped being sad for like a half hour midday to eat, and then I go back to being sad again. What are you doing?
What are you up to? Okay, do you think the reputation and worrying about what you thought starts young? I'm way out on a limb, but it's just so seemingly obvious, which is like your name's so spectacular.
Ooh.
William Von Van. Sorry.
Yeah.
William Van Duzer Lawrence IV.
Yeah.
That's a lot
That's
to
a
live
lot
up
to
to.
give a little
I hide
boy.
that shit up.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Wow.
You had to get a bill ASAP. You had to
Billy.
ditch the van.
Van Duzer. It's a nice duchy. Everybody's comedy comes from somewhere. My family, to be brief, my dad is an American blue blood. My great-great-grandmother is Sarah Lawrence College, and Bronxville, New York is a Lawrence Hospital. The college admissions building was where my great-grandfather lived. And so when I was a kid, I would, wear suits to Thanksgiving and have manners practice beforehand, and butlers and servants and the whole nine yards. And my mom's family are all lovingly white trash. My mom's the first one in their family to ever go to college. They're all largemouth bass fishing guides on the St. Johns River in Central Florida, in D-Land, delightful D-Land. And my mom and dad only met because my mom got a scholarship to go to Rollins, and my dad is where private fuck-up rich kids go. So,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's awesome that you had those two dramatically different.
it was insane, dude.
backgrounds.
Thanksgiving was at my grandma's house, my mom's mom, called Little House, where 12 cousins would sleep in the garage. And then you would go to Christmas, at my dad's family, where people were using words like perchance and
Right.
and you had different silverware for everything. It was bananas. Yeah.
How did Dad do when he had to join Mom?
My dad's an all-time good guy. My dad and his brother were the first two men in that family to work for a living in like 6 generations.
Wow.
Crazy. I know.
Did you watch the Sarah Lawrence doc?
Fuck yeah.
How
We
many
were
people have asked you
obsessed.
about
So
it?
many. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. By the
Everyone's
way, 'cause I
texting
still
you.
go there and teach, and I'm a commencement speaker there a
Cool.
bunch. And, to a lot of people, it just sounds like Bob's College because not everybody's heard of that stuff. But they're like, "Oh, I know that school. There's the dad prostitute sex cult."
There's
I'm like,
a
yeah, no,
cult.
it's cool.
I know it's so unfair to Sarah Lawrence. And we
I
talked
know.
about it a bunch
We
because
have.
we were obsessed with that doc. And we would always just go like, yeah, real bummer for Sarah Lawrence. It didn't even happen on campus. They were like in an apartment
I know.
way outside the school. It'd be like if they all worked at Starbucks and they called it the Starbucks,
Yeah,
like,
I know, the 3 of them worked at Starbucks, the Starbucks sex cult. That school is so cool too, because nobody knows the real story. I'll do it in 2 sentences, what I like about it. So money is toxic, and my dad's crazy wealthy family, I wouldn't say they were necessarily the most open-minded and best people in generations past.
yeah.
But this guy, the original William, by the way, I was chicken shit to go there. None of my kids went there either because there's like a huge statue of William Van Duzer Lawrence, the original, and it looks like me,
Oh my
but he's
God.
bald and has mutton chops.
Ah.
Right? So I'm like,
So he's the first.
I didn't have, he's the first.
Okay.
Everybody in that family, every male in that family is either named William Van Duzer Lawrence or Robert Clitheroe Lawrence.
That's too close to clitoral.
Yeah, really? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I don't blame her on
It never struck me.
Kids figured that out in a hot minute.
No, it's a instant straight line to getting beat up. Whatever. But the original William Lawrence is a real estate baron, and he met Sarah Bates, who believed in arts for women, and she was a poet, and there was no arts for women back then. And she changed him, made him an open-minded guy. And when she died, he had their estate turned into a all-girls college for the arts.
Yeah, that's radical.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's you could be very proud of that.
Yeah.
That was neat for a second, and then straight line from there to sex cult.
Yeah.
What better place to start a sex cult
Yeah.
than a
An
former
all-women-
all-girls college for the arts? That's
Empowering.
where people are really looking to experiment and find themselves.
Yeah.
Sure.
Man, great doc though. Fuck.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
good.
Really good. And
I
that guy, what a weirdo.
No, I know, by the way.
Okay, so growing up, were you kind of hiding from that? Were you a target because you were a little
I
rich
think
kid?
my
or-
parents took great pains to make sure I didn't grow up as a rich kid, and I didn't. I grew up definitely upper middle class in the mean streets of Connecticut. But I wanted to come out here and be a comic at 18, and I probably would have died because I was definitely not ready maturity wise, and was not behaving well. And my dad had something that was, if you go out to LA when you're 18, you'll have our love and support. But if you graduate from college and you're struggling with rent money or whatever, we'll help you out. But if you go out now, it's ITI. And I was like, what's ITI? He's like, it's instant total independence.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
My dad is like a bottom line guy, and he meant it.
Yeah.
And I've used that on my own kids to limited degrees of success.
Well, I hope this flatters you.
Yeah.
In my life at 49 years old, rapidly approaching 50, I have only called 4 people for advice in my life.
Yeah.
You're one of the people. I don't know if you remember this.
No, tell me, is it about a kid?
I called you and I said, you're a really good dude and you grew up with a ton of means. I'm about to raise kids
Oh shit, I remember talking
and
about
I
this
don't want them to be assholes.
I'm obsessed with this.
And I feel like I should ask an example
Yeah.
of someone who didn't turn out to be an asshole.
That's so nice. My kids, I'm so proud of them, and my boys are so stupid, but they're lovely.
Yeah, well, you
They're
said
so
they're
dumb.
boys. Yeah,
They're
so.
so dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
But my daughter has been the most challenging, and she's turned out to be super cool, and she's got this giant life. And I hit her up with the ITI when she dropped out of high school. When she was
She went all
17.
Good
Yeah.
for
Really?
her. That's
My daughter
gangster.
is don't expect you guys to know my daughter's a musician, singer songwriter, and she the whole family went and saw her play Radio City like 3 months ago. It was
amazing.
awesome.
God,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
But I almost blew it. My daughter, when she was a senior in high school out here, she had a #1 song or top 5 song in South America. And so all these guys in shiny suits descended and said, your daughter's got to leave and go on tour right now. And I believe in education. So I'm like, no, I just got to finish high school.
I
And
mean, minimally.
yeah, and she
I'd love
didn't-
to see her go to college, but
Dude.
we got to get her through high school.
Yeah.
and she didn't talk to me for 3 weeks. And my dad called, really conservative dude. And I thought he was going to go, good on you, because we care about education. And he said, if a bunch of dudes showed up at your door and said your son needed to go to Spain to play basketball, you'd already be gone. But because it's your daughter, you're fucking up. And so
Let's go, Dad.
Oh, what a
and
take.
So
I love that.
let her go. She promised to get her GED, and I gave her ITI because it's a family rule, but she split, and she has never asked me for a penny. She's killing it.
Oh
That's
my
awesome.
God.
What's her name?
Charlotte Lawrence. There's a show. If you watch the show Bad Monkey, it's the first time I got into work with her because I put her in it.
Oh.
Yeah, she plays the bad guy's daughter. She's like one of the main characters. But she's
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait,
that's
that's your daughter?
That's my daughter. She's I don't care about nepo stuff. I was doing Bad Monkey. She's not an actress. She's a touring musician.
Yeah.
And
She's fantastic. She did not stink of someone's kid. Because I have a real good radar for that. I'm like, who the fuck? How did this person get in
I
the
got
mix?
so lucky because Apple was like, yo, you got to find a kid with like, to get some young people to watch this show, someone with 1 million Instagram followers that has a different audience. And I'm like, I know
play
somebody.
Yeah.
I know somebody.
I invented someone.
that has maybe a little bit of a growing up too quick past. I'm like, I know someone I'd like to hang out in Miami with for 6 weeks. So yeah.
She's great.
Oh, it's so nice, man.
I feel weird saying also she's beautiful.
She's so hot. What if I said that? I'm so sorry.
what did we
I'm so
just-
sorry, Charlotte. I know you want to listen to this show. That was just a joke.
I went
can't help it.
harder.
that's
No, I went
great.
harder. We had an episode the other day, and I went even harder. What was?
Did you say something?
It was about the dance. No, it was about the dance. We were
Yeah.
debating like whether or not the father-daughter dance should still exist.
No, dude.
And I said, yeah, it's weird. I said, but if you're gonna do it, don't play bump and grind.
No, dude.
I don't see nothing.
Yeah.
Don't.
So I went a little harder. So don't worry. You're
It's
safe.
so complicated. I'll tell you what happens to me now. I wear, you can be like this with your kids. I wear my daughter's merch to her concerts. And when she sings, I get emotional and I cry. And it says Charlotte Lawrence on the sweatshirt and shit. And only recently I realize that nobody there knows I'm her dad. They just think I'm a 50-year-old dude that shows up at like a young 22-year-old's concert.
Oh my
Very
God.
moved
And
emotionally.
knows all the words. I literally, I
my
find there's like a
God.
circle around me almost immediately. I'm, no, it's cool. I know her.
This is the good version of this.
No, it's fine. Don't even worry about it. It's totally normal.
Oh my God. Yeah, you need like a sticker that
It
says
says
I'm her
I
dad.
was calm down. I'm her dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Man.
Don't call the police. I'm her dad.
Exactly.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
And our friends, this LA is so insane. You must have this because their peer group, Charlotte's friends, or Gracie was opening for
Gracie Abrams.
Taylor. I was at a friend's dinner. Daughter brought a friend over, and my buddy's John C. McGinley. If you guys know him, this guy was on Scrubs forever. And he's like, yo, this is the grown-up table. You guys, Charlotte and her friend, you guys are going to sit over there with my kids. And it's adults talking here. It's like a year and a half ago. And Charlotte and her friend both went okay. And then literally 2 weeks ago, John's like, yo, that girl I made sit at the kids' table, I just saw an entire magazine in the supermarket. Her name's Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh my God. Wow. That's amazing.
And he's like, you could have told me. I'm like, I don't know. These kids all look like they're 14 to me. It's bananas.
Okay, so you do go to college. You go to, I'm not going to look at that piece of paper. William Mary?
William and Mary.
William
It's,
and Mary. So you did at least want to stick with first name,
Oh, yeah.
college. You're like, I'm not
Oldest
going
college in America, dude. State school. The thing I liked about it was it was in Colonial Williamsburg. There's a comedy club nearby, and weather was nice. When I was there, when I got there, the big comic was a guy, I forget what his name was. I think it's John Leibowitz, but it's Jon Stewart because he went there and then the year below me was Patton Oswalt. So
No.
it was
Oh
my
yeah, so it was
God.
a bunch is a cool stand-up scene because remember, I'm old. And that was when tourist towns like Colonial Williamsburg had a comedy club. And so there'd always be like a local, dude and then the other people.
Virginia is also a bit of a culture shock now.
Yeah,
probably good for you to get
A little bit. I do remember that, look, William and Mary was a state school, so it was definitely diverse. But the second you left the kind of, the little tiny capsule of the campus, you definitely realize you're in the deep South. It was pretty funky.
Okay, so you come to LA immediately after graduating?
Yeah, I hung out with friends for a couple weeks and drove out here like an idiot.
And how'd you get your first writing job?
I
You have
got
an English major?
I was
Or
a
degree?
creative writing major, if
Okay,
that's
sorry.
such a thing. And by the way, the dirty secret, you guys know it too, is you go to college. I mean, my dad just wanted me to grow up. Nobody ever asked me where I went to college. Nobody gives a shit.
Right.
I'm going to make fun of him. I don't care. My eldest son is a senior at NYU. And by the way, he scammed the system. He was not a good high school student. And then he went to ASU, Arizona State. And then he wrote an amazing essay about how he had finally gotten a hold of his kind of learning disabilities and stuff. And he transferred to NYU.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, good on you, man. That's amazing. Because, all your friends work so much harder to get there. And, right? And he's
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, right.
He's
and
embracing
he's
that.
killing it. He's a good kid. But not a lot of people know this. So all these colleges now, remember how you could do a year abroad, like in Europe or something, going to
Yes.
college? All right. So they also do it in the United States because there's so much unrest in Europe. Like I think UCLA has a campus in Miami or Chicago, and Michigan has a campus in San Francisco. You can do it in different cities in America. And my son's a senior at NYU, and he came home literally a month ago, and he goes, I got into the NYU year abroad program. And we're like, where are you going? He goes, Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with my girlfriend living here. I'm like, okay. But the family now is just torturing him on just make sure you really bury yourself in the culture.
Yeah.
I mean, try the food,
don't
speak
miss
the
out.
language,
Yeah.
really get to know the people.
This is an amazing opportunity
Yeah, just to
for you to learn
explore.
a different quadrant of our city. east of the 405.
It has nothing to do with the fact that my really cool, pretty girlfriend lives here year round. I just want to be in LA.
Well, you know what I glean from all this?
Yeah.
He knows how to get where he wants to
Yeah,
be.
He's working the system. He's also a middle kid. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I can relate. I'm a middle kid. So, how do you get your first writing job?
I came out here and I didn't have any dough. I was painting houses. And I didn't know anybody west of the Mississippi, nor did my family. I had no Hollywood connections. And it was super lucky. For a year, I just struggled. I did open mic stand-up. I was trying to do stand-up a lot, but I sucked.
Out of 10, what would you give yourself as a stand-up?
Writing, I was really good writing the material, like 8 or 9. A performer, even since college, like a 5 or 6.
Okay.
And one time I got so unnerved, I had a regular...
That might even be the worst zone you can be in, because you're not so bad you know to get the fuck out of it.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful.
You might just spend your whole life.
I got a real set one time, and people were laughing at a weird point, and because I always used to wear a baseball hat backwards, and I realized I was like screwing myself, and I was spinning it in a circle, and that's why they were
As a
laughing
tick.
at weird vibes. A tick.
Yeah.
It looked like I was trying to screw myself into the ground. It was so weird. Anyways, by the way, you know what my favorite thing is with Rick, Undateable, they made us tour as a comedy tour 2 of the 3 years it was on. And the headliner, he was such a jerk to the other comics that he would rate us all at the end. I would always open and do 10 minutes. And then it was Rick and Brent Morin and Ron Funches, Chris D'Elia. And my one highlight of stand-up is once it no longer mattered to me, I was kind of good at it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then one night, he was, the headliner at the end was like, in a surprise, Bill Lawrence, the non-comedian, coming in second in our group of 5 tonight. And I was literally like, fuck yeah. But
right at the moment, I don't care.
I know.
Yeah.
So my mom was an auctioneer. I couldn't get anybody to read my stuff. And she said, I did an auction, in Connecticut for this guy named Norman Barish, who wrote on the old Dick Van Dyke Show with Carl Reiner. And he said, my agents were these guys named George Shapiro and Howard West. I don't even know if they're out there anymore. And I was watching Seinfeld, and it says a Shapiro West production at the end. And they're managers. They manage all comics. They manage Seinfeld and George Wallace and Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner. They're old school Hollywood guys. And so I hunted them down, and I said to Howard West, I wrote him a letter and said, if you read one of my scripts, I promise I'll never bother you again. I can't get anybody to read my stuff. I don't have anybody out here. And he read it, and he's like, it's pretty good. It's not for us. Keep working. You're only 21. Congrats. And that was it. And so I just sent him another script. I go, I know I said, but I was like, but this time, more than the last time, this time I swear. And he thought that was funny. And he literally was 22 years old, and he signed me. I guess I'd be like valet money for him. He just didn't have any young clients. And I was on a writing staff the next Monday, literally 5 days later, called Billy. There's a sitcom starring Billy Connolly. And I was so new to the business that when the PAs come and go, what do you want for lunch? Because I had no money. I'd be like, I'm good. And then I'd eat like a giant bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
And on day 3, the executive producer came in. He's like, hey, shithead, we pay for lunch. And I'm like, I will have everything.
Yeah. In
everything.
that case,
Yeah.
What's their catch of the day?
No, dude, it was so bad. And my only memory of that show was because I didn't know how Hollywood worked. I was such a dick at the end because the cast and crew gift was a jean jacket that said Billy with the heart over the eye. And I'm like, dude, I don't want this. And he's like, what? I'm like, no one's seen this show. It's my fucking name. I'm like, people are just going to think I wear jean jackets with my name on them.
But I think that's cool.
Even worse, you put a heart over the eye. I could even
Billy!
That is great.
stomach it. Let me guess, Bill. Yeah, cool heart.
I know, nice. You have that made?
I got to hear how you got fired from Friends.
I got fired off of In a Row, Boy Meets World, The Nanny, and Friends. Boom, boom, boom. Those were my first 3 jobs after Billy, and got canned off of each one.
All for the same reason?
I think I had to learn different lessons along the way. It probably such an idiot, man. Boy Meets World. By the way, Topanga Lawrence. I guess she was. I think I named that character back in the day on that weird show.
I loved that show.
You see, by the way, it's a great lesson. I was on that show, and I was so into like what the cool kids thought of cool comedy and stuff, and I thought it was beneath me, right? And I was, without a doubt, not respectful to it. And I wrote an episode the first season, and I remember putting a line in that, that show had some treacle, and it was I can't believe I hurt my dad because I love him more than anybody in the world. It was when the kid is embarrassed by his dad. And that was back when there's still message machines. And when I went home and after the episode aired, it was like, you have 28 messages. And it was all my buddies back from the East Coast going, hey, bud, I just wanted to tell you, I can't believe I hurt my dad. And I love him more than anybody in the world.
Just roasting you.
Hey, Bill, can't believe you hurt your dad, man. And so I acted like it was beneath me and I should have gotten fired. And that lesson, so there's a lesson in every show. That lesson was, if any show, anything finds an audience of any kind, whether it's your thing or not, it deserves your absolute respect. And I was turning my nose down on something that now is so embarrassing because people I love talk about that show the way you just did.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And I was like,
Formative.
this show's lame. You know, I was such an idiot.
I think a lot of us are guilty of that.
Yeah, the nanny I got, fired super fast. The nanny, I think the lesson there was that your job is not to write what you think is funny, which is the weirdest thing about TV, right? Is your job is to write what somebody else thinks is funny, even if it's not your thing. You know, and
as an actor as well. You should.
Yeah, by the way, right?
And you're not there to. Yeah,
I had I'd say it's the worst thing that I bequeath to my children is completely unearned confidence. You know what I mean? And I had it at the time because I was a fuck up. And
well, you need a mix of it.
Yeah, you need some.
Yeah, but
you're like straddling the line of getting yourself in the door and believing in yourself, and then it's a precarious balance.
Friends is a tougher pill to swallow, and I'm always careful about talking about it because it changed my life, but also almost knocked me out of the business and devastated me because I got on the first year of that show.
First
season, and I thought I was killing it. Yeah, I wrote the, you know, I was 23 or 4, and I wrote this episode called The One with the Candy Hearts, where, you know, the girls have a boyfriend bonfire and all this shit. I thought it was really good, and I thought I was killing on that show joke-wise. I used to, sadly, you know, my wife dated Matthew Perry way back in the day, and he was friends of mine back in the day, and so I thought I was crushing writing jokes for him and for the other people. I did not get along great with one of the show's creators.
Okay.
And what a dumb mistake of hubris and, you know, like, oh, I'll be fine. I'm funny. I'm this and whatever.
Yeah, because I've got the talent that's going to keep me
it's
regardless.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
you know, and by the way, only now do I realize the last thing that anybody doing the job wants is somebody that's even giving them tiny, you know, extracurricular headaches.
Well, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? You're like, yeah, it's great. He's good, but there's a lot of great people, and I don't need to be around someone I hate.
No shit, right? And so, and it was really, by the way, the worst is the show is a monster. And at the wrap party, because I lasted the whole first season, David Crane, one of the other creators who I love and was really great to me, he was a little buzzy, and he's like, you know what? You're really funny. You're going to do great wherever you end up. And I'm like, oh, cool. Give me a second. And I literally drunkenly called my agent. I go, yo, I think I'm fired again. Because he was so mad because I couldn't stop getting fired.
Yeah, the resilience.
No, I got lucky. So I got to give him props on the end. David Crane called my mentor up. I didn't have a mentor out here. His name is Gary David Goldberg. He created Family Ties and Brooklyn Bridge. And David Crane did fire me, but he called Gary up and said, I think this kid and you will get along, because they had met and talked before, I guess, and his personality and yours will line up. And it changed my life. Gary and I created Spin City together 18 months later.
Wow.
And
I went from
how
staff
old?
writer to, I created Spin City when I was 25.
Oh,
Got so lucky.
That's a lot to
Oof, yeah.
juggle.
It was insane. And I
Yeah.
was doing a ton of blow and bad
I mean,
women
I'm
and
sure.
drinking and
Yes,
crazy.
you should. We don't regret that
And
at this point.
Do you ever see a
made it.
picture of what I looked like back then?
No.
I'll show you later. I looked like Guy Fieri. I had white peroxide hair.
Wow.
And
You were feeling it.
earrings going down.
Here's
Just
the
so
thing,
bad.
you're embarrassed now, but I also, you know, on some level on your deathbed, like, you should have a moment in life where you're feeling it. Like, fuck, you can't really regret that.
I don't regret it. I think it's why I don't get sucked into any of the Hollywood shit now.
Because
know
you
what I
already
mean?
did it.
Yeah.
You did it hard.
I really tell, sometimes when you see people fall male and female in their relationships out here, and, you know, I'm not being self-aggrandizing when they say, how come it's been easy to have a long-standing marriage? And I'm like, because I remember a 6-year period of time doing Spin City in New York City and having a elevator that opened up in my loft in my 20s that my life just became trying to get people to leave on Sunday without having to go to brunch with them. You know what I mean? And how empty and
Yes.
horrible that not only feels, the excitement wears off so fast.
Yes.
And it's so bleak.
And you hate yourself. And then later that night, you're like, I forgot what I felt like this morning. That's,
Let's try that again.
you've got like the fucking memory of a fruit
I
fly.
feel
at that
hungry when I'm
age.
not hungry.
Yeah, it's just like when you overeat and you're like, I'm not doing that again. 3 hours later,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
like,
hungry.
it's fried chicken time.
do you stop getting in your own way now?
Yeah, I mean, it helps that it's just us here, and this fucking it's hard to piss anyone
I know,
off.
but this is look.
But yes, I've learned.
This is an
learned.
amazing accomplishment. It's hard to build a world out from the. I mean, you guys in Charlemagne building like other podcasts beneath it and stuff. That's hard to do. You can't do it and still constantly shoot yourself in the foot. I don't think.
No. And as you would know, it really helps getting in a position where you're the person you used to piss off.
Yeah.
Because, I've been in both seats and both have their challenges.
Yeah.
I think being on other sides of things have helped me. And then it's just, I've become less insecure. So I don't need to make the joke that's sitting on the silver platter
I don't
because
know
I
the more-
actually think people think I'm funny already. And
Yeah.
I can resist to some degree.
That's just maturity, I guess, on some level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm better at it now. I think. They still have me. I teach at there's a thing called the Showrunners Training Program at the Writers Guild, and I teach. And John Wells teaches like organized, responsible show running, and I teach a thing called disorganized chaos. Which I'm still.
Yeah.
By the way, even today, because I was very excited about this, but I forgot what time it was.
Sure.
And the writing, I went into the writer's room, and I'm supposed to run the show today, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to be here." So, like 3 minutes, I'm like, "You can talk about this, or this, and I'll see you guys after lunch." Everybody's like, "Oh, cool, we're going to take a walk." I'm like, "I figured."
Yeah. Let me guess, you guys are going to be arriving 5 minutes before I do. From this.
Everybody good with Poochie? All right.
Everyone doing a podcast today? Okay, so so Spin City then leads to is Scrubs immediately after that?
Spin City was Spin City was really interesting because Mike Fox was the first guy that I loved since I was a kid that turned out the way you would hope he would be. And it was really tough because, when I got into that show, I was like 25 when I wrote it, 26. When we sat down with him, he's like, "Yo, I have Parkinson's and I'm going to do it for 4 years and do 100 episodes and build this Parkinson's Foundation." So it was really,
Wow, you
kinda-
knew that all going in.
yeah, it was very fraught and really a great lesson in Hollywood because, thinking about, he was dealing with so much and he was always upfront about going, I'm still responsible for my behavior, which is not always what it's like in Hollywood, I guess.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, and that show was so weird because when Mike was done, we hired Charlie Sheen, who could not have been a better, kinder dude. I didn't work on the show then, but his dad came and went to bat for him. And it's so weird watching that Charlie Sheen trajectory because
Yeah.
everybody Spin City remembers the nicest young man who had his act together, was completely clean and
Sad.
living this amazing. Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
This business, you get a real front row seat to
It's
us
so-
addicts.
it's crazy, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, we're
Yeah.
it's over-indexing out here, I would say. And most of us addicts are pretty sweet.
Yeah, I was about to
That's
say,
why we're fucking addicts.
that's the biggest issue for me over the years is that you have to learn that. I see this therapist named Barry Michaels. I don't know if you know, like Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels and their partners.
Oh, they're partners?
Yeah.
We
We
that's
love
one of
Phil.
Phil's drawings.
I know.
Yeah,
By the way, I
he
saw
drew
it right
for
when I
us.
came in. Stutz is a rock star. They wrote the tools together.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
okay.
But Barry calls it one of the things I've always had to work on because I was going to say it. People are so lovable and you are so connected, but you have to see them on a different island than you, and you have to be able to go, "I wish you well." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
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 hard.
not something I'm great at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had a lot of? You've had a lot of
he
those
said
interactions.
Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew.
He was
just
a friend.
family, friends. By the way, let's be honest. You can't. It's the world now. You
It
can't
is.
be more than 2 degrees separate.
Yeah, no one's
Yeah.
immune.
Anybody that claims not to be is either living with blinders on or full shit.
You know, weirdly, and I never talk politics on here, but I would say the single only time I think I've ever seen Trump misstep to his own base was the time he made fun of our president's son having an addiction. That was the only time. It was during the debate. They were just, I think even they were like, "No, it's not
It
cool,
doesn't work,
man.
dude.
No,
Every family here.
I've loved someone
Every
too."
family here.
Yeah, good luck
Yeah.
finding one.
I know, right? So I split because I fell in love with my wife and came out here. I created Scrubs. And then I've just been really lucky to surround myself with super talented people. I've been just creating TV shows and shit since. I had a lot of peaks and valleys though.
Yeah. And I want to get into one of them before we get into this crazy run you're on right now. But I would be guessing, but I feel like Scrubs had to be the peak fun.
It was so fun. Scrubs was the last of the Wild West in television. It was, we got a deserted hospital. You know where Namie's is on Riverside?
Yeah.
It's across the street from Namie's. That
The
condos
Maples.
used to be a Scrubs hospital. It was
I
so weird.
shot there a few times.
Yeah, I think they did Ken Marino and those guys. What was that show called? They did when they did-
Children's Hospital.
Children's
Hospital.
Hospital. Yeah.
And they did it in our off season and stuff. But yeah, all the actors' dressing rooms were on one floor, the writers were the other. People brought their dogs. We would drink there at night, which I'm sure you're not supposed to do.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it was so fun, man.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
liked
man.
everybody.
You could tell by the show. The show's so good.
That's super, super cool.
And
Nice
you
of you.
were in the perfect age for it.
It was the most fun I ever had. I probably stayed too long. I stayed 8 years.
Out of 9.
Yeah.
To keep
You also
people
just-
employed.
Well, the 8 years, I was just loving it because
But you took it to another network on your age,
Yeah,
right?
well, there's a writer's strike, and it was over because NBC didn't own it. ABC owned it, and ABC's like, oh, you can do it last year on ABC. And then the 9th year was a spinoff, and they got nervous and changed the title back to Scrubs, which was a
Okay.
bummer, but whatever.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Along the way, I created this cartoon with Chris and Phil called Clone High, which was funny and weird.
Was that their first? Those two are
Yeah.
so hyper talented.
They're
They
awesome.
kind of make me mad.
They're awesome. They came in and
Yeah.
fucked up Scrubs because this is good person stuff. Because I put the writers' room of that show in the hospital just because I didn't know you weren't supposed to do that. And only like a year later, got a call from Disney going, "Yo, that MTV show is their writers' room at your building? Are they eating the food that we?" I'm like, "Is that not okay?" And that's why all the voices were Scrubs actors and me and all us idiots and stuff. Yeah, that was their first thing. But I remember they fucked up.
Yeah,
'cause-
you had it close to your own studio, basically.
Yeah, it was
you had
awesome.
like what Buster Keaton.
Yeah,
where it's like
I wish, but yes.
Yeah, you're playing baseball in the back,
It
and
was
then
so
you're getting
fun. We
bid
set up a
ideas.
basketball court. We had a game room.
Oh.
Zach Braff and Sarah Chalk may have dated a little at the beginning of that show, and it was super volatile when they broke up. And then I started Clone High, and Phil immediately started dating Sarah. And it was literally like one of those kind of fodder for a reality show. But that was fun. And then after that show, I created this show called Cougar Town. Such a shitty title. So embarrassing.
Listen,
Show's good though. Show's good. I swear.
Great
Go back
show.
and check it out. It's pretty good.
Listen, when you're 6 months ahead of it becoming ubiquitous, oh, this is great. This is great.
Right.
Well,
And then it just happens, and you're powerless. I'll give the example. I had a tribal tattoo before there were tribal tattoos.
Is that true?
It was an album cover from a punk rock band
still-
I
it's
like.
still there?
I got
Did
it
you go-
covered,
yeah.
thank God. It's in Without a Paddle,
Yeah.
which you just watched, and you know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
And
that
all of
movie
a
in a
sudden
while.
I'm
It's a
like,
funny movie.
Oh man,
Yeah.
every roided out dude I'm seeing's got tribal ink
tattoo.
all over. I'm like, oh,
What's
fuck,
happening?
I gotta get this off me.
I remember how that show came to be because I knew Courtney a little, and the head of ABC is like, "Hey, Courtney wants to do a sitcom. Will you do it?" I'm like, I don't. You know, at the time, I was not good at writing women. I was just a guy's guy my whole life, and I was still learning. I'm like, I'm not sure that's my voice. And I went back to the writer's room, and I'm like, you know what sucks is it's so hard to get shows made. And if I said I'd do it, and it just said it's Courtney's going to get divorced at 40 and go around dating guys for the first time and called it Cougar Town, it would be on TV. And it became a room bit in our writer's room
Right,
of
right.
like, yeah, there won't even be cuts. So just a claw will go, wow, and rip the screen apart. And we're just making bad jokes about it. And then Kevin Beagle, who's a super talented young writer, back at the time, now he's old, still younger than me, but he very seriously, like we walked out of the writer's room just to fuck around, and he goes like, yo, I'll do it with you. And I'm like, you really want to do this? And we went and pitched that joke. It's called Cougar Town, she whatever. And the president of the network was like, oh, we'll put that on. It happened that fast.
Wow.
So,
Right.
and then we were mortified because nobody wanted to watch Courtney chasing younger guys. It seemed desperate and sad. So the first 6 episodes of that show suck, but the next 120 were cool. It just took us a second to figure out.
These
was
things
fun.
take a
It
second.
was weird.
Yeah, things take a second. And now, I mean, look at Seinfeld. You watch the beginning of Seinfeld. They're not even the same characters.
Yeah.
'Cause, the kids and I are just going to start at the beginning. I was like, holy smokes, I don't even
Are
remember.
you showing your kids old shows?
Oh, yeah.
I do. I showed my son, my youngest, Spin City. He was like, "Was this on TV?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I didn't show it in my garage, dude. It was."
I didn't make 100 plus of these for me.
Did you just do this with your friends and like show it at barbecues and stuff?
This
I'm
is for
"No,
like your Instagram
it
or
was on
something.
television." so silly.
Okay, so after Cougar Town, I mean, 2013. I want to just say 2 seconds about you had 3 shows going,
Yeah,
and I don't know. That seems too
many.
madness.
too many shows.
And I'm not implying any of them suffered because of it. I'm just looking
I
at
don't
that.
give a
Word.
shit.
I've said on here publicly a quadrillion times that the most gangster of all roles in Hollywood is showrunner. It's number one. Nobody works harder than showrunners. No one has more on their plate. Whatever you think a director is in a movie, it's times 100. Like, it's a fucking
It's a crazy
baller
job.
of a position.
It's a crazy
And when
job.
you guys, I notice you guys get along better than any other peers in show business because you know.
People always ask me why some of their favorite showrunners aren't doing stuff anymore. And I say, because it's such a high burnout thing. And if you love your family and love your relationships, you either have to stop doing it if you're a control freak and can't let go and can't empower other people, or you need to learn you have to empower other people, you know, and go home. And I didn't know that at first. I had a real bad section of my career for my family too, that I was having kids. And my wife was the star of a sitcom for 22 straight years, between Drew Carey, Scrubs, and Cougar Town. And she took a second to raise our 3 kids. And for a second, I was a little absent, you know. And I regret it. I course corrected, but now I really empower other writers that I've worked with, other people that I've worked with. I go home at 5:30. I coach all my kids' sports teams when they're younger. I just recommitted to the other stuff. But it's very hard.
Yeah, it's kind of like a lawyer. Part-time showrunner would be like a 12-hour a day job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm at the age now that the younger writers, literally, if we're ever there past like 9 o'clock, they lead me out like I'm someone's angry grandfather when they're literally like, "Why don't you just come back and see what we did in the morning?" Okay.
That's
I'm like,
sweet.
"Oh, it's going to be okay. You can come back and you just go to sleep. You come back and see it. You come back and then you can say all the things you hate then.
You'll still hate the things in the morning.
Yeah, it's going to be fine.
Don't worry,
You'll but you'll be rested and you'll be nice.
Yeah.
You'll be like, "Oh."
You won't lose your ire.
So embarrassing.
No.
Okay, so between 2013 and 2020, although you're still by all accounts a very successful,
I created shows that just disappeared into the ethos, man. I felt like throwing them off a cliff.
and coming off of like such an enormous success of both, you know, Scrubs and Cougar Town, I'm imagining that kind of 8-year gap between that and Ted Lasso, you're minimally having, I would imagine, asking yourself like, do I know the recipe anymore?
I'll tell you 2 interesting things, maybe interesting, maybe not. One was what helped me later in life is I realized I didn't give a shit because there's a lot of people hung up on legacy, you know, and I really like writing, even though I hate writing. I love having written something, but writing itself actually sucks. So let me correct it. I hate writing, but I like having written something.
Just introduced my daughter to that.
There you go.
That
So,
saying.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
And you know what she said?
What?
I love writing. And I go, that's right. I shouldn't have even said that. When you
But
start,
then you know
when
what
you
you
start
do?
writing for money,
What you do in the back of your head, though, when someone says, "I love writing," keep an eye on them because they might be a sociopath.
A red flag.
Just keep, by the way, I don't
I
mean
thought you were
just-
going to go, they must suck.
That's
at
what I
writing."
thought I was gonna say.
I don't mean stare at
It's
them
like,
all the
how's
time,
this-
but just corner of your eye, maybe there's someone that doesn't know. This is how
Check their
you,
closets occasionally.
this is how a human would behave, right? Humans like writing, right?
They like sitting by themselves in a room, right?
No,
and
they
hating
love it.
everything they say.
They love it. Just circling like fever dreams in your head over the same thing over and over. People love that. The one thing is, I realized young that I think an advantage of growing up safe financially and having that background is that I don't really care about the economics of it. And I knew I would be fine from Spin City and Scrubs. And I knew I could always teach and that you can always write. And so I think emotionally I was going to be fine. The thing I was plagued with was I had the sense that I was a dinosaur because I literally, look, man, I'm talking to you guys now. When I talk to writers now, and I say young writers, but even writers that are late 30s, early 40s, and say, yo, there's a year of Scrubs, you know, or Spin City in 4 years, we did 100 episodes. And these kids are all like, ooh, we got to do 10 episodes of this show in 8 months. I'm like, you want to know why And, I was joking around about narcotic use. Sometimes it wasn't even for fun. It was literally about, I'm not even lying to you.
Yeah.
It was literally a work element thing.
Yeah.
Of like, oh my God, this is episode 26. And we've been, it was bananas.
Yeah.
And I was still clinging to a network model of television when it was dead because it was the only thing I knew.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
And so the scary thing for me was I told my wife that I was going to kind of extricate myself from that. I didn't know if it was going to work. And we had a vacation house, tough problem, but we sold it because I just wanted to take a risk. And then I started trying to do streaming shows, and that changed things for me. So that was Ted Lasso. I got really lucky.
What was the quintessential ingredient or change between network 24 a year and then streaming 10? Like, what was the thing you had to wrap your, because there's just a structural thing.
The epiphany for me was I did a show that I executive produced that was just upended my life, and it was called Whiskey Cavalier. And you guys haven't seen it. I can tell by their looks.
Yeah.
It was really good. It was a cool cast, and it was an action comedy. And if you watched it now, I guarantee you'd go, holy shit, how did this not work? But it was a network, hour-long, banter-driven, Beverly Hills Cop type thing. And what was messed up about it was the only way, I'm like, this will only work if it looks cool and the stunts are cool.
Yeah.
And they're like, you don't have the budget to do it here. So I went and I moved to Prague. I did it in the Czech Republic, away from my fucking family.
Oh, wow.
And I was sitting there going, this is worth it. It's not. It's going to work. It didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so for me, the epiphany was going, when you do these monster shows that you're trying to appeal to, remember the old network model was appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
I used to go into meetings where they would be like, we just want this idea to have the subtext was, we want you to do a comedy that appeals to every gender, race, age,
socioeconomic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody must like it. And you're like, that's insane.
Yeah.
But that's what
But by the way, people did it.
But it's
You
crazy.
did it.
Yeah.
Well, I lived in that world. It was so crazy to think about that. And so for me to make the transition to the big thing for me, the big difference was I told everybody if I could change my production company name, I'd change it to Noble Failures Production, because the streaming things in the new world is if you can make something that you're not embarrassed to show your friends and family, and that means that there's a small audience for it somewhere, and who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's a niche business.
Yeah. That changed overnight.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Have you happened to listen to the episode of Revisionist History, Malcolm Gladwell's podcast?
No, I know the podcast, but
He did
and I know Malcolm Gladwell stuff really well. So
He did the most incredible.
is it weird if I just keep bragging about how I know Malcolm Gladwell?
No,
I meant Malcolm
give me
Gladwell.
5
I do
minutes
brag
from
about
now.
it.
He's gonna say, and one of the things about no, I'm just-
I brag about it as well. But it's all about Will and Grace.
Yeah.
And this weird kind of perfect parallel. One of the creators of that show's sister created Orange is the New Black.
I'm so tied into it. She was I took her job in the first season of Friends. She got laid off before me. Genji.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It's
And-
a great, the kind of societal impacts of those two different paradigms is fascinating.
It's
He
crazy.
gets into like voting trends in people in the era where we all watched the same show.
That's
That
amazing.
you could predict people's voting. The best corollary was how much TV did they watch in the 80s. And you get on a bus with anybody, didn't matter, and you had all watched the Cheers finale.
Yeah.
And you could go here, right? And just the impact of having to write in that creative box and how that weirdly, that's how, that Will and Grace is credited for marriage equality.
Yeah.
Right? Like it moved the country
Oh, without
because they
doubt.
had to play in this really safe box. And it's like Orange is the New Black is a great show, but it
Yeah.
didn't move anyone's opinion
No.
on anything because it's niche. It's a fascinating episode. You would love it.
I got to check it out.
Yeah, it's really good.
Exactly what you're talking about. This second, but the weird thing about all of this is the second you stop trying to appeal to everybody, because Hollywood is still fun this way, you can randomly appeal to everybody,
Well,
which is the biggest mind fuck of it all.
Yes.
Right? It bananas.
So going into Ted Lasso, and I'm curious, I know that they're generally not fond of giving anyone the metrics in the streaming world,
Yeah.
but from the outside of all this, it feels like Ted Lasso maybe was even bigger than Scrubs.
Ted Lasso was a monster.
It's maybe
show.
one of the biggest shows of all time.
It was
Yeah,
crazy. And
I don't mean a single. In fact, we hadn't seen it,
Yeah.
and we would get fucking
Yeah,
hate
people were
comments.
upset.
I would just mention I hadn't seen it, and people were like, "What is your problem with Ted Lasso?" Like,
I know.
angry.
They really took it personal.
I ended
That
up
was very
watching
weird,
it because
by the way.
you know why I ended up
Yeah.
watching is I fell in love with Juna Temple
Oh, she's awesome.
from Fargo season 5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, now I want to see her. And
She's
that's
so
how we
talented,
ended
by
up
the way.
watching it. And of course we loved it. And my kids love it. And yeah. But
That was a weird
is it
experience.
bigger? It's the biggest thing.
As a
ever?
monster, comparatively, it's so weird because Spin City probably got watched by more than all these shows because it was still a time that everybody watched. There's 3 networks and everybody watched everything, which is so weird.
You had tens of millions of viewers.
Oh my
on
God,
a
it's so
given
crazy
night.
to even think about. Like I flew back and wrote the Mike Fox's retirement of TV episode, and the ratings for that were like Super Bowl ratings now. It was bananas. It was so
Wow.
insane.
Right.
But Ted Lasso was, I haven't really ever been part of a show that felt zeitgeisty like that.
Yeah.
And it was very weird. It was not its intent. I remember sitting around with Jason Sudeikis and by the way, huge props to him because he created the character long before I came into the picture. But just with him and the other creator, Brennan Hunt, and the writing staff, and we were so not remotely convinced it would work, but just all talking about what a shitstorm the world was. And it would be nice to write something vaguely hopeful and optimistic,
Right.
so you don't at least feel like a piece of shit. And the weirdness is the extension of now people going like, you fucking watch this show about optimism. What's wrong with you? I'm like,
True.
just chill out.
You fucking cynical
You
bastard.
suck.
By the way, that was my hurdle.
It's
Earnestness for me is like really triggering. I think it's like the punk rock background or whatever it is, or feeling like an outsider. I have a real hard time.
You're stumbling into something that's an issue for me because I'm a softie, man.
Right.
And I'm overly earnest.
Yeah.
And 90% of my shows, like if you ask me, the trajectory career for me is, I've been doing the same thing since I was 25, and sometimes people think it's cool, and sometimes they think it's lame, and then they think it's cool again, then they think it's lame again.
Well, have you ever been hit with this theory? I don't know who pitched it to
Sorry.
me, but I find that it makes a lot of sense, and I kind of believe it's true, which is if you watch shows that work and you put them in the time context of what was happening, we generally like the opposite of what's going on. The example that was given to me is like during all the Obama years, everyone felt great about that.
Yeah.
And that was the rise of all the antiheroes.
You watch Veep during those things. It was literally a show about just finding different ways to be horrible to each other. It was so funny.
Yeah, so funny. And then you also had Breaking Bad coming out of
Yeah.
this. Like it was the boom of the antihero.
Yeah.
And it's because we were so safe in the other thing. And then COVID is like the least hopeful time.
Yeah.
And so we want to see the opposite. And there's just this weird rhythm that you can't account for. You hope you hit it correctly. But I do think that rhythm exists. I think we kind of want the
I think
opposite
it
of whatever's
definitely
happening.
exists. I think it's a tightrope because like you can stay earnest if you don't fall on the wrong side of treacle, depending on
What's treacle? You've said it twice now, and I'm too embarrassed.
overly emotional tropes
Like
that are
saccharine.
designed. Saccharine, yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's sappy, cliched
And what's the word?
moments of emotion.
Treacle?
Treacle. It's a good word.
Think about that. We'll write it down.
Yeah.
We're going to
We're
need to
gonna
write it
have a
down for the
list of
dyslexia.
words
Treacle's
we've
a good word.
learned.
Yeah,
It
it is a good word. Treacle.
We
Okay,
learned a
great.
new word the other day too. We do need an ongoing list. I know.
Oviviparity.
Oh shit, what's that mean?
Live birth. That's what mammals do.
I'm not big.
No eggs.
I'm not big with the book smarts. I find like 5 or 6 words and I just
Treacle's
latch onto
pretty
them.
good.
Treacle's solid, though, right?
No. You can't have it both ways. You can't drop treacle on us and then act like you're not learned.
But you already pointed out I use it a lot.
William Van
Van
Duzer,
Duzer,
Lawrence the
Lawrence the
Fourth.
book smart.
You fraud motherfucker.
But you do walk that line so well. Like Scrubs is such a perfect encapsulation of that. It is sweet. That show's such a sweet, loving show. Sad,
Well, people
happy.
die.
People die. There's lessons learned, but it's so funny that you're not hung up on it being over the top.
I think that's the tightrope. I remember talking to you at Hugo's because we have shared comedies that we like, and I don't always know if I can write them. I'm trying now with this new one. But I have to be inherently optimistic or I feel slightly buried by the bleakness. So even if I'm writing about, this show Shrinking is based on a true story of my neighbor was this great family guy, you know, and he went on a summer vacation, and his wife and one of his kids was in one car, and he was in another car. Traffic, they're dead. And overnight, I was a guy that had to, as the pilot of Shrinking, overnight I was a guy that had to go 4 a.m. on a Tuesday, and there'd be bad people and bad things going on at his house. And you felt so much for him. And we are in a world that you could pitch that nowadays as a comedy, which we did, you know, with Siegel, because he wanted to do a thing about not only, you know, grief and addiction and all that shit. I can't write those things unless it has an undercurrent of hopefulness, or I find them too bleak.
You can't. Is it almost you'll procrastinate because you don't want to revisit it?
It's just not.
You can't pick it up.
It's not for me. You know, I don't even know how. I find my way through the world with an inherent belief that things are going to work out okay for good people. And it's challenged in Hollywood all the time. And I don't mean that there's not going to be absolute body blows along the way or different shit that we're talking about. But man, the doom scrolling, you know, it all ends in darkness thing doesn't work for me as a creator. So I think you can do that earnest shit as long as you sprinkle in plenty of
irreverence and sarcasm.
Yes. And anguish and mental pain and death and
absurdity.
Even though I say that's not the thing I'm attracted to, I am not judgmental of it.
No, I don't think
I'm
you
just
are.
it's like a vibe thing where what it truly is I'm a younger brother. If I got caught being earnest, it was embarrassing.
Right.
To have believed in yourself and then failed would be way more embarrassing than just failing.
Yeah.
And if you talk to me before any movie I've ever had come out, I'll tell you why it's going to fail. Because it would be more painful for me to think you thought I believed in myself and then I got caught. So it's my own baggage. There's no question.
No,
it's not like I'm confused about where it comes from. And I'm not correct. I think you should hope for things and believe in the things you do and wish for the best and believe that they're possible.
I'm not being judgmental either. I just sometimes have wondered, I'm like, do I always need to write with this kind of undercurrent of hopefulness for my own mental well-being? And then that's why I'm not trying to segue to a different show, but my favorite author is Carl Hyacin, and all of his books are dark satire, and nobody's redeemable, and everybody's a piece of shit. And it was really fun for me to enter that world, but I think I was only able to do it because it wasn't as scary because somebody else had written the story, you know?
Yeah.
And so much so, without judgment, that my favorite shows, in a really weird way, because it's something you were just saying, are shows I know I couldn't write. I couldn't write Veep. I just mentioned it.
Right.
I would love to try, but I watched that show marveling. Trey and Matt, I still can watch South Park and go, what the fuck are these guys doing? It's so funny.
Yeah.
And twisted. And
let's even back up. I generally don't watch comedy. I don't know about you. I like dramas. I already do comedy. I feel like I can see jokes coming. I know it too well.
Have you done that to your kids yet? My kids think my magic trick when they were little is they could pause, you know, it's the 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
They could pause a joke setup on like Big Bang or whatever, and I'd say the punchline, and they go, you saw it. I'm like, I didn't see it. Because I've been doing this for 9,000 years.
Yes, exactly.
I know you like stand-up though still.
Well, even weirdly more than I ever have.
Yeah, me too. I'm obsessed right now. Are you a stand-up nerd as well?
I like some. I'm not as big as Dax into it.
I'm crazy about it. My kids have reached the age that I also think as a skill set to see people command these rooms. Oh. I've been taking my kids to see shows. It's one of the things that we connect to.
Have you seen Shane Gillis yet live?
I didn't see him live, but I saw his specials. He's really good.
Fuck.
It was really good. That stuff about the Washington reenact, you know, it's insane. He's so funny.
Oh my God, it's insane.
I took all my children and my wife to see Tom Segura out here at the Forum, and it was absolute, you know, crazy crowd shit show, but it was such a fun experience. I'm in awe afterwards more than my kids are when somebody commands the stage like that. I saw...
And takes their time.
Oh my God. Watching Mulaney right now, and especially in that kind of twist his life took, and just going, hey, that's part of my character in my show, and it's insane to me. It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing I'm struggling with right now with what's allowed comedically, you know what I mean? And,
I think
that's why
anyone
I
in comedy.
Yeah.
You're always walking the line. Again, this 20-year fucking anniversary of Without a Paddle thing we did. Dude, I'm saying shit in there that's terrible. I'm doing an Indian accent. I'm like, oh my God.
You have to acknowledge that things are a part of the time.
Yeah,
So
things change.
Cat Williams did a great interview about this particular topic, about how things were of the time and how he doesn't feel challenged at all by what the new rules are, because he's like, there's
You were already doing them.
There's always been new rules.
Yes.
A, and B, you can still do whatever the hell you want. Just be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not funny, be careful.
Yeah, in 2003 when we shot it, we were playing within lines.
Yeah,
the lines moved and fine.
Yeah,
the whole like lamenting, all whatever. There's still great shit. All to say, okay, Bad Monkey.
Yeah,
you and Vince knew each other because you played poker when you were younger together.
Yeah, I knew. I was in a crowd with him that would drink beers and play cards and stuff before anybody had made it. I think I was 23, and I think he was. I hate that he's younger than me. I think he's 21. I know. I was thinking about it the other day. Because I randomly was watching a little Swingers because it was on the other night, and
impossible to turn off if you catch 5 seconds of it. Yeah.
My first Hollywood moment that made me believe Hollywood was real and almost a place, even though we all know it's not a place, was I was playing poker with Vince when I was 23, and this would happen all the time. If you folded, one night I folded, and I wasn't in the hand, and the Domino's guy came. And I'll get the pizza. I went to the door, and right when I answered the door, you just hear Vince from the other room going, "Bill, ask him if he likes musical theater. Bill, if he likes musical theater, ask him to come in. Tell him he doesn't have to sing, but I want to watch how he reacts to some of my favorite songs. Bill, and if it's not musical theater, ask him what type of things he likes music in." You know what I mean? And you'd be paying the guy. And I just remember that. And then I went and saw Swingers like a year and a half later, and he's like, "Ask him if he wants to come in and dance." And I'm not saying that was based on me. He did it to everybody. But what a cool thing for a young person to go, oh shit, you can see a funny moment with your friends, and it can be a movie that becomes iconic. It was bananas.
I bet. Yeah, it's like breaking the fourth wall. There's something, impossible about that.
Bringing in for the real thing. All of his quotes existed in real life. And by the way, I didn't see Vince for years and years and years, but you're not as old as I am, but we're at least of an age that there's no way you weren't comedically influenced banter-wise by what he was doing.
I told him this, and I'm sincere about it. For me, the comedy paradigms are like, it's Letterman, Bill Murray, and then the next one for me is Vince.
You and I connected big time. I don't know if you remember, over Letterman and Murray back in the day. Because I used to stalk Letterman because I grew up in Connecticut, and we knew the tiny place he'd stop for his coffee and egg sandwich in the morning off of the Merit. And we would stay around there and skip classes in the morning. Not even to do anything, just to be like, hey. And he would just like, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Greatest day of my life, he came here.
How was it?
Oh, it was great. I had to work on it for 2 weeks in therapy before it happened, so that I fucking didn't try to impress him or make him think
I will
I'm smart.
go. I didn't ever hear that one. I'll go listen. He bummed me out. I don't care. He bummed me out of.
I don't care.
So on Spin Shitty, we had a we had this.
I think he's mispronounced.
Me too, every time, and I kind of want
to. We had this dog. It was a story based on. Remember, I told you I was always drinking and having fun, and I went to this writer's house one night before we all went out, and his mom had a 19-year-old tiny dog that had no fur on it, and one eye had exploded. And I was just high enough that I swore, I'm like, that dog was looking at me, and his voice was just like, please kill me.
Yeah.
just push the TV over on me. I won't even move. And I'm like, we're going to do that in the show. It's going to be funny. We're going to have a talking dog. We did for a few episodes. And then Mike Fox is like, I'll get Dave Letterman to do the voice, which he did. And so I'm like, it's been my idol since I was 12 years old. I'll go over and record it, and he was not always... He's not always the nicest guy in these situations.
Well,
man.
We don't like him because he's his bedside manner.
But imagine this weird thing is if you worship him, and by the way, you'll know it because you're a fan if you're on the other side of the gag. So I went there, and he goes, just push the TV over on me, Kenny, because he loves the name Kenny. And I was 26. I had to go, oh, it's so funny. Mr. Letterman, can you do one? Because the character's not named Kenny. Could you do one without saying Kenny? And he goes, yeah, no, I got it for you, Bill. I got it, no problem. Just push the TV over on me, Kenny. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I gotta cut this out. And I'm like, maybe do one if you're gonna do Kenny and everyone. Maybe say you just maybe do it at the beginning. He's like, be like, no problem. Just push the TV over on me, Kenny. And then finally I was like, all right, we got it. The EP there, Rob was like, it's time for you to go. I'm like, no, I felt it.
Oh, sure. I mean, I almost expect it.
It's a badge of courage. It makes me love him more.
Oh, yeah. You got a much better story. If it went great, what do you got to tell?
Is he full beard still?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The best. I'll say the best moment. I'm in the house. I watch his car pull in, and I'm in my house looking out the window. And again, for me, getting to be on his show, and knowing him so well,
Yeah.
and knowing him enough to go, oh, he likes me. It was so fucking great.
I'm immediately jealous.
It's like the number one experience I had.
I've
And
been
so-
thinking about stuff like this all the time. It must be so rewarding to grow up with that as shaping your voice and to know he thinks. I have a little of it. I got to see when I was in New York this last weekend, Mikey Fox, he's in a wheelchair now and he's struggling a bit, but still crushing. But
Yeah.
it's that icon from Back to the Future, back
Oh,
whatever. And
yeah.
when you see, I'm very jealous. I'm annoyed by it.
Good. And so that's the number one moment for me. And then I'm like, and I'm trying to integrate the notion that he's come to my house now to let me interview him. It's just so much for me to kind of compute. And I'm watching him get out of the car, and he gets out. He's so letterman. He like looks around, and there's like 7 guys in the garage building the garage. And he walks in there, and he goes, guys, it looks great. Why don't you knock off early for the day? And then he turns. No one's watching. He doesn't even know I'm watching this out my window, and I'm like, oh my god, he's everything I want him to be.
He did a joke for himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these dudes, they know it's Letterman, even though. So like they're oh fuck it, it was so great.
There's 2 things I love about that. One is just being honest. My pipe dream since I was a kid was always, I'm buddies with Conan. I've always wanted to be a talk show host. I'm so jealous of what you guys do.
You'd be great.
And
You'd
it's my
be great.
favorite thing in the world. My buddy Brett Goldstein is always like, you got to figure out a way to do it. I'm like, it's too late for me. And I'm fine. So the fact that you got to do that with him, I should be happy, but I don't know if you guys have this. You guys have this?
It's fair.
It's
yeah,
I
a
have
little
it.
shot in
I used to like musical theater when I was a kid, and I went and saw Book of Mormon when it first came out. I just remember this experience. And Trey and Matt, if you guys ever saw it, it's so fucking funny.
Yes.
And
Oh, yeah.
instead of
So
enjoying
funny.
it, I'm 10 minutes in, and instead of enjoying it, I'm like, fuck these guys.
That's how he is.
It makes me insane.
You're ding-ding-dinging what I was on the verge of telling you,
Yeah.
which is my Vince thing is so complicated because I saw Wedding Crashers as an unemployed actor in a movie theater, and I was like, oh my God, he's doing everything I hoped I could do, and he's doing it at a level I know I actually can't do. And that option's now gone. This thing I dreamed of doing, I'm watching it. It's done.
It's like
been
a metaphorical
done.
door
Like
closing.
my whole game plan just evaporated because this guy's already doing it. He's doing it way better than I can do it. So yeah, interviewing him was a big deal for me,
That's
and
neat.
I was very, very excited about it.
He took it very seriously. You know, it's really been interesting for me. Things that I would think were so facile for him. You know, that he talked about this, and I think he did Smartless, and I think it's like the only real promotion he's even doing for the show. Do you
He's
know what I
not a big promotion dude.
mean? No, he didn't love it.
And I'm sure
And
you're
he
seeing.
picks it, he curates it, you know, by stuff that he likes and pays
And by the
attention
way,
to.
I can see why he doesn't, because I'm reading a fucking.
Oh, that New York Times piece that the person was looking for something. Is that what you're talking about?
So annoying.
The Owen Wilson shit, I found it so.
Oh.
He literally, the guy was trying to get him on something. He goes, Owen Wilson, you know, apparently had a real crisis and was suicidal right when you were hitting the biggest level of fame. And
Your
you guys
friend
were
tried to kill himself.
Your friend tried to kill himself. What did you feel about that back then? He's like, what are we doing?
And he's really
Right.
nice. He's like, Owen's one of my favorite people. I love him. And yeah, success is an interesting thing that we
Not
define.
my
He does
place
as
to
good
talk
as you
about.
can do
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
And then they resume the interview 6 days later. And the guy goes, hey, man, I was going real light on you. You know, I want to come back to this question about Owen Wilson.
What?
And Vince is kind of like, I don't know what you're trying to do, man.
It's
This
so
is one of my
weird.
best friends. And you want me to talk about
His mental state, I'm not going to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it. It was very weird.
what it's just a terrible. I got so disheartened by that like, that's where we're at. You know, Vince can't be in a great show as a comedian who we love, who's very entertaining, and not have to go in there and defend all these different things. But anyways, I read that and I was like, yeah, no shit, he doesn't want to go out and promote shit.
I know.
Yeah.
You know? By the way, the show's fucking number one every week.
I think people miss him.
see. Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit! You know what I wanted to tell you because it'll make you happy, and you have to start doing this. So, you told me about Letterman doing a joke for himself. It's my favorite thing. Make sure you do it, and I'm going to give props to a comedy writer buddy of mine because I witnessed it at a grocery store. And his joke forever has been just to watch other people react when anybody is like, "Oh, sorry, can we borrow the ketchup from your table?" he'll go, "Oh, I'm so flattered, but I'm married. I'm so sorry." And people are just, and by the way, it's usually when a group of guys are eating lunch, but literally like about 6 months ago, I was at the grocery store and I was walking up and he did not know I was there. And a woman behind him asked to, the bar you put down between your food.
Oh,
She's like, "Can you hand me that?" He goes, "I'm so touched that it's so nice, but I'm married. I'm so sorry." And by the way, just that he was doing that for himself.
Yes.
So if I put any message out there, do jokes for yourself.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
That's
that is
weirdly what my therapist was hounding on. He's like, why don't you do things that are just for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and write something for you.
Are you, I know you're therapied up. I've been feeling weird lately when I do it because I feel it's very easy when you're talking about specific problems. But when you're talking about, your own shortcomings and stuff that you want to work on, I've been struggling a little bit because I'm still very new to it. Do you know what I mean?
in therapy?
Yeah. I find it very easy when you go, this is a problem that's in my life that keeps repeating over and over, and let's talk about tools for getting through it and for progressing forward and to not make those mistakes. But when it's, hey, what do you not like about yourself? It makes me so uncomfortable, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's not supposed to be comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I prefer comfortable.
He wants the hopeful version.
I know.
This is what I've had to learn to do. I'm really good at sharing about the struggle I had last week.
Yeah.
And what happened last week and what we should do about last week. And I am not telling them about what I'm planning for next week. Because I'm always planning for next week. I'm creating problems that, the problems I'll have next week, they're being born today.
No, you already got them in your head?
The mind is already, right? And I had not want to let him in because I don't want him to tell me not to do those things. Then
that's so self-indulgent.
True trust of the therapist is he's not there to tell me not to do those things. He's there to help me understand why I'm doing them. But I had to be more honest and get better at going here's what's coming down the road that I'm, transferring.
That's why I responded when I saw that so much, because I find what those guys do has a feeling of, here's some ways to stop fucking up the way that you keep fucking up. And then we can talk about them later. And now I'm just finding that I'm landing in the now let's talk about them, part. And I'm like, oh, I don't love this part. I like the tools part.
Yeah. A little less personal, tools.
I'm still a wasp at heart, too. Still got a 4 on the end of my name. Come on.
I know.
Right?
Yeah, you've got a lot to work
You're overcoming a lot.
Yeah, if I were a therapist, I was like, let's first stop. Number 4.
There's a guy at Warner Brothers. He's retired, but he's lovely, named Peter Roth, who I know you've probably met 1,000 times. He used to run Warner Brothers, but I made him laugh because the first 6 weeks I worked there, I said, "You have now hugged me more than my dad did in 41 years." So, I'm getting used to it.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
So I was a person who, before we knew we were going to do this, it wasn't even manipulative.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer for Bad Monkey.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, let me just go to the websites I like to visit. The fucking Vince stuff was it was just oozing out all the Vince stuff that I fucking have been loving for 23 years or whatever, however long. And I love it. I watched last night. I'm all caught up. It's so good.
Oh, it's nice, man.
And I love the vibe. I love the location. I love all that shit. Were you down there for a lot of it?
I moved down there. The other writer, Matt Tarsus, and I, we both married and have kids, and we lived in a condo together as 2 old men on South Beach. We called it Beach Buddies. Super embarrassing. We'd sometimes in the morning be like, should we feel worse that we don't feel bad being away from our family? It was all sorts of challenging, man. And Florida's a shit show if you have any connection there at all. It's
a wild place.
I love it, but
Me too.
It is the American, and it's beautiful. I haven't felt pressure doing anything for a long time, but I can't oversell. I worship this author. I told you guys when I was a kid, I was a little directionless, and I found his books when I was like 14 or 15. My family used to make me go fishing with them just so they didn't have to deal with the kids when we were in Florida on the St. John's. I hated fishing. So I'd always take a book. I'd take a Carl Hyatt. My cousins called me college, and I would be like, I don't think you get to call me college because I'm the only one you've seen reading a fucking book.
There's a lot of steps between reading this book.
Yeah. But there was like a direct line between Carl's crazy satires and death and shoot 'em ups and surreal situations and all the storytelling I've done. And he doesn't like Hollywood because the first time he turned one of his books into a movie was a movie called Striptease. And remember that whole thing? And it was very
What was
weird.
the famous screenwriter who did it?
Andrew Bergman.
Oh, is that what it was?
Is the guy that wrote Fletch, the guy that wrote Honeymoon in Vegas, the guy that wrote one of the writers of Blazing Saddles.
I thought it was that Esterhauser guy. Or what?
No,
who was that guy?
Striptease was that's Elizabeth Berkley, Joe Esterhouse's Showgirls. Striptease was the movie.
Demi Moore.
Yes, Striptease was the movie that Carl's like, is a great screenplay. In the 11th hour, they made it about a different character, and it wasn't my book. And then he got disenchanted with Hollywood. I went to Florida. I drank with the dude. I convinced him that I wouldn't shit all over his story, and so he let us do this. And so it's been.
How's
super
he
fun.
feeling about it?
He's so happy, dude. He is a 71-year-old dude bouncing around. He is a guy that we all aspire to be. He was an award-winning journalist at the Miami Herald for years. He's got 20 bestsellers. Wow. Late in life, he's kind of taking care of a lot of his brother. Unfortunately, was one of 3 reporters at that Washington paper assassinated by that Trump crazy about 4 years ago. So he's kind of looking after his brother's family and stuff too. But Carl is an all-time great dude. Rolls with Jimmy Buffett. Reminds me of Elmore Leonard. So part of the fun was he said he had to shoot it in Florida. It has to be authentic, crazy Florida because all his shit is based on real stuff. So one of the best creative experiences of my life because to have like an idol that turns out to be a good dude that you hopefully don't let down. It's been awesome.
Oh yeah,
got to read his books. If you haven't read one of his books,
if I got to somehow hang out with Bukowski,
yeah.
I mean, that was my guy.
Dude,
was
it'd be
Bukowski?
amazing, right?
Yeah, no, I can only imagine.
And
you're bringing something of his to life that you already loved, and he's happy with it. Oh my god,
He
that's
trusts you
incredible.
with it.
Well, you get
That's
to go.
really
Imagine going to an author and going like, "Hey, I love this book. Can I put like 4 chapters in the middle and then put it on television?" And if they don't say no fucking way, it's insane.
Yeah.
But it was.
I forgot to ask this. I have not chased any awards. I've never had a fantasy that I would ever win any awards.
Yeah.
But I have been joking now for 7 years, and I'm kind of serious about. You won a Peabody for Scrubs.
Yeah.
How does one win? That feels like an award I could win, but I'm not even sure how or why you win one.
I don't know how it works. By the
What
way,
is
I'm
it?
so disingenuous because I used to shit on awards and make jokes of like, "Hey, everybody, these are so important. Let's everybody just remember."
Right.
And then I won a couple, and I'm like, "All right, they're
These
kind
are
of
pretty
fun."
cool. Yeah. By the way, I'm not above them or judgmental. I just am realistic about my odds of having won one. I just never saw it coming.
Me neither. By the way.
Yeah.
The weird thing about the Peabody Awards and Scrubs that is followed me around life-wise, and it matters to me, is it was embraced by the medical community, that show, on a level that no one expected. So the reason it won a Peabody Award was you can go Google it and Google most realistic medical show of all time, and for whatever reason, every single physician picks Scrubs.
Wow.
You're beating ER and
and
fucking
beating all of
Grey's.
it.
Wow.
And the reason is all the stories in Scrubs, especially the first 4 years. My best friend in college, everybody calls him Real now because his name's JD, was an absolute fuck up. We were in the same fraternity. We misbehaved so much that when he decided he wanted to be a doctor after we went to college, he had to go back to undergraduate school again. I know. It's just all bad. Now he's a cardiologist and a heart surgeon out here. But the whole pitch of that show was for me to go, my worst nightmare would be waking up in an emergency room and seeing that fuck up going, "Hey, you're going to be fine." I'd be like, "No." And I stole his life. We're still so tight, and he was the medical advisor on the show.
Okay.
And so all those stories were real. And for whatever reason, that world of dealing with death and having crazy mentors and the nurses being smart, it just resonated. And that's how it kind of got to the Peabodys, because it became a dialogue in the medical community about how the show was, even though it had fantasies, how medicine was finally being represented in a real way, which is
so
insanely
That's
weird.
really
We need
cool.
an expert consultant. We need a
to get us
to
a
get us a
Peabody.
Peabody. I think I found out what we need.
To me, they're like, it's like a Pulitzer. Like it's very prestigious.
And I know This American Life has many of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
all right.
right.
We'll work on it.
This
Are you
shit
friends
was
with anyone at the Peabody Association?
Not
Did you
anymore.
make any connections?
Can you pull any strings?
Here's how I lit this up. I only remember
Literally campaign.
all I remember about the Peabodys is there's a big awards ceremony in New York, and I'd never won anything. And I went and gave my wife had flown in to watch, and I gave my thing, and I didn't thank my wife. And I was backstage. I was just weighing how much trouble I'd get in with my wife versus how annoyed they'd be at me because it was like a tape show for PBS or whatever the fuck it was. So I just went by the security guys and walked back out onto stage while Bob Costas was setting up another thing. And with that, and they wouldn't mic me, and I literally just shouted it. I'm like, "It's my fault. I forgot to thank my wife. I'm just gonna do that really quick." And to his credit, he was like, "That needed to be said. Bill Lawrence needed to thank his wife." I just went backstage.
I think you chose correctly.
Oh
That
my
was
God,
probably
that was,
smart.
Okay, so you felt the pressure of the source material, which makes sense. Did you also feel any Vince pressure?
No, you know, it was weird, man. What I liked about it, I could do it with you too. That sounded sexy. The is I could improv a scene with you right now as Vince. So for me, the new thing about streaming television, which is funky, is as you get to cast people that you admire and you know their work. It's like having the answer key. Do you know what I mean? So I knew I could write him funny. I guess the only question I had would be, I wanted him to do kind of a mature, older version of the old Vince, and he hadn't been doing that a lot lately. And he was super game.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because that's his career, which is interesting. He's done this cycle before.
Yeah.
It's like we fall in love with him in Swingers.
Yeah.
But then he goes and does like Clay Pigeons and a bunch of dramas.
Yeah.
And then the studio has to be convinced for old school that he's funny.
Yeah.
Like Todd Phillips has to go convince people he's funny.
Hilarious.
And then you're like, oh, right, he's the funniest.
No,
Now
he's
I
the
remember.
funniest in the world, nonchalant.
Yeah. And then, has a whole string of that. And then for a while is doing dramas all over again. And then now it's like, oh, all right. He's impossibly funny.
But even, look, the new thing for me that I find so joyful and takes the pressure off men and women to be able to write. The old TV model that we all lived in, you would write something and then you go try to discover actors and actresses and then
Hope you get lucky.
Yeah, hope you get lucky, change the stuff to suit them. And now sometimes you get to work with, I know how Harrison Ford sounds. You know what I mean? It's insane working with him. But it's so much easier to write, when you're like...
and you know what Siegel can do.
Yeah. You know, and I, by the way, I'd been in an extra in Jason's life, as I'm sure you had been 1,000 times. So that the second you can hear someone's rhythms and the way they talk, it takes so much pressure off, man.
Right.
But that was also a bad issue of mine even when I was trying to be a stand-up, I would mimic the voices I love. I used to love this comic named Brian Regan.
Oh, I loved him.
But his inflection was so specific because he
Yes.
did this bit of like, that feeling when you in junior high school and you had, you completely forgot you had a project due and your head would shoot up off the pillow and you go, oh no. Because that was it. And I would start talking like that. So, oh no, I've had 6 weeks to do this. I've done nothing. And so mimicking a voice or vocal patterns, that's why it'd be fun to write for you or to write for Conan is people that I've loved a long time and I can still access to them and hear them. Do you know what I mean? I want to try and jam both you guys into something. I think you got to
bring me out of retirement.
Well, you got to come die on a Carl Hyacin thing gloriously.
Everybody
gets.
I should give
everybody
massive
gets killed
props.
on him. Yeah.
Zach was in the episode I saw last night.
He's
Braff.
fucking good.
He's tremendous. It might be my favorite. I've seen him.
He's been through some shit, by the way, in real life.
Looks incredible. He's so good.
He's been through some stuff. He's aged. I think people forgot that. I don't want this to sound in any way condescending. I think it's very easy because of what you do or because of what Zach does for people to forget how talented you are doing the other thing. Does that make sense? And I'm
happy to hear that.
I'm not trying to blow smoke, but you know what I mean? You knew that I was a fan back from, and
you were going to cast me in your movie.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate compliment.
So for Zach, for me, especially with some young writers on that show, to go, no, dude, this kid can actually act, and he's actually funny.
Yeah.
By the way, there's the episode that comes out tomorrow is a flashback episode, spoiler, but it's so tragic for him. And he's got
a compelling story
he's
going.
So good in it. It just blew my doors off. The other person that reminds me of the comedic style that we like and whose voice is easy, if you don't know her, you guys should both find Meredith Hagner.
She's so good and so unpredictable that you have to pay attention and you have to click into like, I'm about to talk to a girl at a bar I think I'm in love with mode. Hyperdrive.
It's almost condescending to say it to her, but she does, she's a female version of what Vince used to do at that age.
Yeah.
She never says the same thing twice. There's a show called Search Party. I don't know if you watch it. She
incredible.
was so good on it, and she's so quick. The only thing that freaks me out is you guys know who her mother-in-law is, right?
Yeah, Goldie.
Yes.
And when you
yes.
see them next to each other, I'm like, it's a
She's very young Goldie.
comedic, thing.
Especially in this thing.
It's
in
bananas.
Bad Monkey.
Yeah.
I said out loud to Kristen, I said, oh my God, did Wyatt marry his mother? Look at this. Yeah, she's incredible.
I know you don't miss the grind. When you look at stuff like this, I'm just curious because you can do it because and you do it all the time still, here. Do you miss that being dropped into a world and just getting to play comedically like that?
I miss that moment, and I don't miss anything that surrounds it.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
miss the email from the second AD asking me to go to a wardrobe fitting at Paramount on a day. I don't miss the negotiating over a call time. I don't miss, like there's so much sausage before you get to be in a scene with Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
And my life is so good here and so rewarding.
It's so amazing.
So it's interesting. It's like, yeah, I get that itch. I guess probably last night watching Zach, I'm like, oh yeah, there's Zach. He's doing a fucking great job. What could I have done that part? And what would I have done? I'll just get a little curious, but not a huge drive to, yeah, for the most part. I'll tell you the one thing I considered, and it didn't end up turning out. I would have done it, but they had called and asked if I was available for an episode of Righteous Gemstone, the new season. And that
Show's
show
funny,
for
man.
me is the show.
And notoriously good guys, from
Yes,
what everybody
he's-
says. I don't know them very well. I don't know Danny that well. I know Adam a little bit. But supposedly like a lovely place to work.
All princes, yeah, doing their own little
You
thing.
just made me laugh because it made me think one of the things that fell in love with my wife. This will make you guys laugh. So, because she's like you. So I've dragged her back into acting, and now people are like, oh, she only acts on your shows. I'm like, yeah, because
She doesn't want to do it.
Because it's also like Zach Braff, got to one of my shows once he was directing, and he goes, I just read that your wife is not allowed to be called before 10 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, good luck, dude. Enjoy. But
You'll get the best version of her when she arrives.
the funniest version of that is way back in the days of CSI Miami, which they shot here, I think. I just fell in love with my wife because they asked her to do a guest spot on that. She's like, you know what? I haven't worked in a second. I'm going to go do it. And they're like, we need you to come down to Manhattan Beach for a wardrobe fitting at 4 on a Friday. And she goes, 4 on a Friday. It's going to be a clusterfuck getting there.
Impossible.
She goes, this is really, I'm listening to her on the phone where you are. And the AD goes, well, it's the only time the wardrobe person's available. So we're going to need you here at 4. And my wife just goes, oh, then I quit.
Yeah. I get
And there's just a
it.
pause. And the guy's like, wait, what? She's like, it's no big deal. I just quit then.
Yeah. It's fine. And I hope I haven't hurt anyone's feelings, but this
it's
was
not
a bad
big deal.
idea.
It's not a big deal. I know it's supposed to shoot Tuesday. You guys will figure something out, but I quit. And then literally,
Oh my God, that's
Somehow clothes could be
fantastic.
there.
it was a hard,
and-
hard cut to people driving to the house next
Yeah.
Saturday and going, like, here's your outfit.
Well, Bill, this was even better than I was expecting, and
Oh,
I thought
so-
it was going to be great.
It's so kind of you guys to be, you said, I'm not good at this, Pete. You said too many nice things. My wife said I have to look people in the eyes and say thank you when they say nice things because I usually come off as standoffish and an asshole because I look at my feet and go, oh, thanks. You know what I
It's
mean?
hard to hear that, isn't it?
You've both been very kind. I appreciate it. And I know that
Amen.
there's
Work in
people,
progress, learning to take a compliment on this end as well.
Right.
It's very hard. I can relate.
I love compliments.
do you?
I'll take them all.
What do you need? What do you need?
I want to hear them all.
What do you need at the end?
No, I'm kidding.
Well, tell them about the birthday present that Kristen got you.
Oh,
Forever immortalized now.
She got me a piece of art. I wish I knew the artist. We'll say it in the fact check.
Yeah.
And it says, "Sorry, I have great tits and correct opinions." And it's dead accurate. Dead accurate.
Pretty great
Could not
present,
have a better
right?
present.
That's pretty solid. That's tombstone material.
It is.
It might be on the tombstone.
It should. It should.
Well, Bill, I adore you. I'm so glad that we had an excuse to do this, and I hope we do it again on what will be probably your 4th enormous hit on Apple TV. Shortly, I'm sure, at the rate you're going. Congrats on everything. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so much. Congrats to you guys. You guys are very good at it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Be well.
Next up is the fact check. I don't even care about facts. I just want to get in your pants.
One of these coasters might work. Hold it up. I must increase my bus.
Must you?
Well, that's what I was doing. Yes, technically.
You were today. You were doing tries for the guys.
Did you?
Oh, I mean curls for the girls. What were you doing?
I wasn't increasing my bust. It wasn't a chest day. Although there was a little bit of chest activity in one of the other exercises. I'm still catching my breath, as you can hear.
Yeah, we got you.
Apologies to the listener, even more so to the viewer, because I'm in my workout gear.
Straight out of the gym.
Zaddy knee brace.
Ooh.
Check. You know, embarrassingly, I've been doing that exercise that I saw Lenny Kravitz do.
What does he do? I don't know about this.
Oh, well, first of all, he does it in leather pants with no shirt, which is so cool. I guess I'm inching towards that. That's probably the finish line. Do it in leather pants.
Okay.
But you are on a decline bench,
Okay.
right? So you're laying, and then you have the 45-pound bar. Then you have some weights. And then you do a sit-up on the incline. And at the top, you go full extension. Then you come all the way down.
Jeez.
So it's a inverted sit-up, but with the bar and the...
That sounds hard.
They're hard.
Yeah.
But they're starting to make my obliques pop.
Ah.
And that's a fun development.
That's fun for you?
Big time. Do you like obliques? I love them.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Yeah, and in fact, let's see if we agree on this. I think guys are like, oh, I get my chest huge, right?
Yeah.
My biceps.
They want to increase their bust.
But I think women are like, oh yeah, those obliques, sign me up.
For me, yes.
This enormous chest, what are you going to do? Push
It's-
a car up a hill?
Yeah, hot take for me. A huge chest is hard to hug. I like hugs.
Right. Yes, certainly there's a lot of these gentlemen you couldn't wrap your arms around, right? Some of these
There's just something
Mr.
about
Olympians,
it being
if you reach your full arms out, it probably would just get to the sides of their body.
Yeah, it'd be like this.
Yeah, that's roughly the size that Phil Heath's back was when he was here.
The rock hard chest.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Go ahead.
Sometimes, everyone has ever hugged you gives you a compliment on your hug. You are very good at hugging.
I'm a very intentional hugger.
Yeah, you give great hugs.
Well, thank you so much.
But sometimes when we hug now, if you're not being intentional,
Yeah.
I like ricochet off.
Oh,
'Cause
into the
it's
brick shit house.
tight.
Oh, well, that's not great
And
news.
not to throw him under the bus, but Charlie too.
Look, there's a downside to
There's a
being
downside.
to being perfect 10 Charlie.
Yeah.
And that might be the hugs might be a little bit painful. Mm-hmm. But I bet there's a lot of folks that are like, sign me up for that perfect 10
they
Charlie
are.
pain.
Of course they are.
But at any
As
rate,
they should.
Okay, continuing on with my boring exercise. Box jumps.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Did those.
Okay.
Did deadlifts.
Okay.
Did pull-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Then that was it. I ran out of time, ran directly here, as you can see.
Yeah.
And I'm on my short.
I wonder when I start doing strength training if I'm going to come in and want to talk about this kind of thing.
I hope so. And in fact, goodbye to every other topic. If you're super into it,
I know.
like, I don't think he'd mind me outing him, but Mark Rober, who we love, he
Friend of
called
the
me
pod.
the other day, or he texted me and said, can I ask you about some workout stuff? 4 minutes, he said.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. So we hopped on the phone. 34 minutes.
Wow.
We just couldn't stop talking about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because he's on a new routine.
Yeah, he's looking to add some.
Well, tell him about the hugs. Tell him what he's given up.
Okay.
It's only ethical
Then
for
call
you
him
to
back.
share about. Yeah.
That one will be 4 minutes. That one will come
Pass
in
the
under.
phone over to me. I'll elongate that.
Yeah, I wonder which ones you're gonna love and
Me too.
hate the most.
I wonder.
Become a little gym rat. That's gonna be great.
I'm open
Changes
to
in
it.
the air.
I'm open to it, but I like my identity.
Yeah. You don't have to let the important parts go.
Yeah, that's true.
Your identity isn't like, I'm under muscle. That's me.
No, it's
Right?
not. It's not. In fact, I lived a long time on this earth in tip-top shape.
Right. Premium, peak,
That was how I started my journey. I came out the womb in tip-top shape.
elite muscle mass. But I do have a grievance to air. On your birthday stories, footage surfaced of you in cheer practice.
I know.
And you take us right to the moment the dude's about to throw you in the air. And I'm like, what is
Wait,
this
I didn't.
section?
No, you see me land.
No, you don't even go up. It's just like you guys all milling about, and this guy's going like this, and then all of a sudden you go like this, like you're ready to take, and then he's about to grab you, and then boom, we're on to the
That's
next
not
clip.
true. Oh my God, I have to get up.
Oh,
Oh, here it is. I have to sit down.
okay.
I mean, I showed, we were at the party still, so I showed Ryan because, he understands cheerleading.
Is it possible that the clip you put into stories, because stories are only 15 seconds long or whatever they are, it cut off right at the money shot?
There is a chance, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
It was her story that I reposted.
And who's her? Her
my
can't talk
coach.
because her's a dog.
My coach, Kelly.
Okay, Kelly did. Do you know what? Really quick, Rob,
Yes.
Like, we have this capability at this point.
Oh, to throw it?
Like, you could be playing this on this TV.
Holy shit.
I mean, what the fuck else is this thing here for other than to see Monica get caught by the poontang?
Can be done. It's not all.
We should do it so when we watch YouTube clips and stuff,
Yeah.
it'd be a lot more dynamic.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so you're right about the story, but what you're supposed to do is now it's gone because it was a story.
Yeah.
But you click on the actual video and then you can see the whole video.
Boy, I don't know about that part.
Wow. I just taught you something
I don't
huge.
know about that. Okay, another reason I was rushed, and so a lot of people are going like, how could you have neglected your buys and tries? Because I've only listed
People are really
Yeah.
worried. I know.
probably like biting their fingernails. And it's because I took the brain test today. Have you done yours?
Not yet.
I think it's called the cognitive test.
It is.
For the
Dr.
layperson.
Richard Isaacson.
In this, I've never been a part of anything more comprehensive than this. I'm both really
Same.
grateful and also this is nuts. Like at some point, I'm like, I don't know if I care this much about my health. I know in retrospect, I'll be really happy I did it.
Yes. What did you tell me about? Wait, should I not know?
No, there's no way to like cheat.
Okay.
It's mostly fun,
Okay.
but it is taxing. Like she read a list of like 20 words just in a row.
Okay.
I still have some of it.
You do?
Yeah. So
But don't tell me.
it's not gonna.
What if it's the
You're not
same?
gonna hold on to
What
it.
if
It
I
is gonna be
do?
the same because I just asked Kristen, who already did it as well.
Oh.
So desk, shoe, bird, stove, mountain, right? Those are some of the words. So it's just this long list of words.
Okay.
And then she goes, okay, repeat as many of the words back to me as you can.
Okay.
Then you do a lot of other tests. Time goes on, an hour and 20 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like, read me how many can you get of the list?
Oh, and do you have to do it in order?
No.
Okay.
Although I bet you'll inevitably start memorizing it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, glasses, gun, fist, cloud, towel, right?
Wow.
Then there's like shapes. You see a ton of shapes in order. They're just flashing on the screen for a second.
Yeah.
And then go to this, and you don't recognize these symbols. They're completely made up, right? It's not like
Okay.
you're like, oh, that's the Blue Cross and Blue, And then they'll put two symbols up and go, which one was in the set? You got to click, right?
Ooh.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
You get told a story at the beginning, and then you have to repeat as much of the story as you can
Oh my God.
at a couple different times.
Okay.
That thing you've already done in your life where it spells green, but the green is blue,
Yeah.
and then it spells green, but it's red. You have to say the color.
Yeah.
They're fun, but you get like mentally exhausted from it.
I bet.
Oh, I know the one that was most exhausting is like say as many words starting with F as you can think of in 60 seconds.
Whoa.
Then as
Can
many
you
words.
say curse words?
Sure. You can't say proper nouns. You can't say like gives. You can't add S's and shit to things, right?
Okay.
I think the naming the many words as you can off of a letter was the one where at the end of the 60 seconds, I was like,
Wow.
But I was thinking a couple different things.
Okay.
I think improv training has to be a huge
Benefit.
yes.
Yeah.
Right? You and I should have a big advantage.
Because of the hyper listening, I think maybe when you're saying the story and stuff, I feel like that's a big gain.
Well, did you guys ever play this improv game where it's like I say an object, you have to say another one, but it cannot be related? So you go
Yeah.
coffee, I go styrofoam, you go rainy.
Right.
Like
but styrofoam's kind of related to coffee. Styrofoam cup.
styrofoam cup.
It's
but
like
no,
it's like an A to B, or it's like an A to G.
bookshelf. Styrofoam. Now you're going to say, well, you could make a bookshelf out of styrofoam.
You could.
It'd be a very flimsy one. It wouldn't hold any books.
Yeah.
But I think the practice of rejecting your brain's desire to get stuck on something
Yeah.
is something you can practice.
Yeah, that's true.
Like non sequitur game, I guess it is. Did you have one like that?
I'm sure we did. I feel like the ones I remember the most were more like I love mind meld.
Remind me how that one goes?
Mind meld is on 3 we both say a word.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the second round on 3, we try to find the word that meets in the middle of that word, basically, and get the same word. Should we try it?
Absolutely.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, cloud.
bagel.
Cloud and bagel. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
donut.
circle. Circle and
1,
2, 3, sugar.
manhole cover.
Oh no, see, this is what happens.
You said sugar?
Yeah, sugar and manhole cover.
1, 2, 3, spill.
woman.
1, 2, 3,
milk.
period. 1, 2, 3,
blood.
breast.
Oh no! Oh no!
Wait, what was it?
It was
Breast and blood.
breasts and blood.
One,
But I already said. Can we repeat?
2, 3,
1, 2, 3,
stab.
babies.
Oh no,
Babies and
stab.
stab.
Babies. 1, 2, 3, infant
murder.
death syndrome.
I know I was.
You should have gone with your heart.
I know, but it felt like I couldn't.
I know, but everything's safe in a game.
God,
Kind of.
I was.
Except for racial
I was
slurs.
gonna say SIDS.
Yeah.
So we
And I couldn't think
we
of the
did
acronyms.
get it.
Oh, we
did.
got it. That was a dark one.
I know.
They don't always go that dark.
They normally don't. Improv is fun.
It is. I wish there was a way to just do it for fun.
I don't think. I think I'm
Like
so rusty.
in a classroom.
You could take classes.
I don't want to take classes. I just want to go do it
Yeah.
in a room, though.
You don't want to be on a stage.
Well, I did do that charity improv show
Yeah.
with like all the heavyweights who they haven't left their foot off the gas in
Yeah,
25
they're still
years.
doing it. Yeah.
And I was pretty intimidated, but I also I felt pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, because I was quite nervous.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just not going to tap in much. I'm going to be
Right.
there. My job's just to be there and be on the invitation.
Yeah.
And of course, you know me.
You can't help
I
it.
couldn't stay out of it. A greedy little pig. Yes, I am. Oh, that reminds me. We've been in a really fun routine at bedtime. I lay in the middle of Delta and Lincoln, and Delta has this set of dolls.
Mm-hmm.
It's a black woman, 2 white children,
Uh-huh.
and a white woman, and a
Oh.
black child.
Okay.
And so I inherited this story, which is kind of fun because it's like an improv suggestion.
Yeah.
So Delta explained to me that the black woman adopted these 2 white children.
Okay.
But then the third is her biological.
Got it.
And then the white woman's just like, I guess she is a yoga instructor. She's on the periphery. I can't figure out how she works into all this. And so I do all the voices, and the boy is Mark or Drew, depending on the night.
Okay.
And then Paisley and Lily.
Oh.
And the yoga woman's name is Whitney,
That's
which I said sounds like Whitey.
Oh yeah. Did
And then I
she
decided it
name
was
all of
Whitney
them?
Whitey as her name. I inherited the names
You did. Okay.
in the dynamics.
Okay.
Biological child
Sure.
to adopted.
Do you think Mom and Whitney are in a relationship?
No, I think Mom thinks Whitney's nuts because Whitney's solution to everything is yoga. And she's doing yoga poses that are very inappropriate. I'm not controlling Whitney Whitey.
Okay.
Lincoln's in charge of Whitney Whitey.
Got it.
She wants everyone to get in the crab position and all this stuff.
Oh my. Okay.
And then Mark hyperextended his groin trying to participate last night. And he was sent to the vet instead of a doctor.
Okay.
Anyways, I do 2 of the voices of the 4, and then the girls pick 1 character. And these have been going on for like 45 minutes to an hour before bed.
Fun.
It's so fun. And the girls, not to brag, but the girls are like, Dad, you're so good at that game. And I'm like, girls, this is improv.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's a great way to teach them yes and. Like everything's cool, but when they deny, I bust their ass.
Yeah,
I hold them
good.
to the fucking fire.
Yeah.
There's no denying. I say you got a nice stovetop hat on.
You do.
Stovetop hat on.
Yep.
You got to tell me where you got it.
Yep, exactly.
I feel like I might be starting to blueprint their brain to get ready for it.
I like
Oh, but
that.
I can do it for, like, I look forward to it.
I'm sure. That sounds
it's
so fun.
Mark, stop hyperextending your groin. You're going to end up at the doctor, Mark. Mark talks like this, Mom. I can totally handle it.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's like a surfer a little
And
bit.
Lily's like, I'm the firstborn. Even though you're biological, I was here first.
Oh.
She's a brat.
Is she based off me?
No, but now that you point out the similarities. Is that what you said a lot to Neil? I was here first.
I was here first. No, actually, that was never one of my. That's way too pedestrian.
First come, first serve. I was here first, Neil.
No, it'd be. Oh no, that's wrong. first is the worst, second is the best, but that doesn't work for me. That works for him.
Do you think second is first the last or some shit? What's the things?
It's first is the worst, second is the best, third is the one with the treasure chest.
Wait, what does that mean?
That's what it means.
Wait. Third is the one with the treasure chest?
Yeah. It's something a second child says, or if you're in second place,
Okay,
you
great.
would say,
But what does a treasure chest mean?
It's just like you're
I'm
giving
going to a
the-
dirty place.
Right. I mean,
Like a carpenter's dream or a pirate's dream.
wait, carpenter's dream.
Flat as a board, easy to nail.
But that's the opposite of a treasure chest. A treasure chest is very well endowed.
I know. I'm just saying it makes me think of those things.
I see.
Sunken chest, lots of booty.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't make these up and I don't condone them. I just know them.
You know them. I think it's just like giving third something cool.
Consolation prize.
It's a way, you know what? It's a way to take down number one, as we love to do,
Yeah, yeah.
as we love to do
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
world.
We do.
Last night, I worked till late, and then I thought, I'm going to watch something. I haven't watched anything in a while because I've been
Please
I've been
say
tired.
you started chimp craze.
I did not start Chimp Crazy yet.
You
But-
are so insolent.
I am not. You'll just
Okay,
hold your
okay,
little
okay,
horse, okay?
Hold my sunken chest.
I have some connections in this life, and I got
this
my
in show business?
Yeah, in this biz, and I got my hands on Nobody Wants This, Kristen and Adam's show.
Oh, that came your way early.
I got my grubby hands on it.
And
I watched 7 episodes.
no way.
Yeah.
Did you tell her that?
I mean, I started this again. This is like Only Murders in the Building, or I start it late and then I just keep going and going and going. So I couldn't keep texting her because it was the middle of the night. This is an Easter egg for an upcoming episode,
Yeah.
and
That was out last week.
an upcoming episode where Kristen says that this character is a cool girl.
Yeah.
And I do know behind the scenes, as you do too, that was a thing for her. Like
Everyone wants to try to be the cool
everyone
girl.
wants to be the cool girl. And
Yeah.
I think that was important to her to pull off.
Yeah.
And she really fucking pulled it off.
Yeah.
She's
yeah.
so cool in it. And I did text her and tell her that.
Oh, she's going to be so happy.
She is so good. It's like
Frustrating?
a little.
Sure.
It's a little frustrating where I just every time I see her do anything on camera, it's just
She was born
she's
to
perfect. She's perfect.
flawless. Yeah.
There really is no one better. It's
I know
really
there is an
something.
arc, there's like, I think for her, there was some people in front of her that seemed insurmountable.
Mm-hmm.
And one I'll say, because we both admire her so much, Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
Because she just does all the things. She's so
Yeah,
talented.
she
They're
is.
roughly the same mini powerful
Yeah.
blonde.
Yeah. And they both like run businesses and
Yeah, and she is such a peer to her now.
Yeah. I think Kristen is tricky because, she's never done like a black swan. She's never put herself really in a position where the Academy is looking at her or whatever.
Yeah.
But
She could.
she for sure could.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so impressive. Almost overlooked. I mean, everyone knows she's good, but it's when you know about acting
Yeah.
and you watch her, it is so impressive. It is so razor sharp.
Kristen has achieved that, right? Like you can just
Yeah.
put her in something and by God, it'll work.
I know, but yes, but I think that was always the case. I don't think.
You don't think she's gotten better and better? Maybe not. I mean,
I
Veronica
don't think
Mars.
so. That's why when I watch her early days, you can tell. It's like, oh, this person knows how to do this in such a deep, innate way that doesn't seem learned.
You're right. I don't think she got better in that she wasn't already great and perfect. It's that she just over time gets to show you more and more things she can do, which then cumulatively it gets more and more impressive, in my opinion. So it's like, that's a really
she's a
great
killer.
sign. Though I'm glad that you wanted to watch 7 in a row.
I did. But yeah, their chemistry is like
Forget it, right?
so good.
Yeah.
It is so hot.
Yeah.
and so good. And
It's driving the whole
great
thing.
banter. Great banter.
He's so fucking charming and dreamy, isn't he?
He is. And then it started to make me think about chemistry.
Chemistry, as we say in the business.
And as we say in science, chemistry is such a weird thing because not just chemistry on screen, but chemistry in life. Do you think chemistry is required for love?
No. I've observed lots of people in love who really kind of don't have chemistry,
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
There's a lot of people that, and I'm going to just be very broad, but in my experience, it's like, I've seen some intellectuals together where it's like, they're both so unique and idiosyncratic, and they work together as a team.
Yeah.
Like they're this intriguing partnership for talking and stuff, but it's like, there's no like sparks flying out of their eyes.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely think. And I think we talked about it in the upcoming episode that aired last week that it's not predictable. So it's like it has nothing to do with whether you get along with somebody or you like them greatly.
Yeah.
Many of couples, famous Hollywood couples, will get on screen together and there's nothing there.
Right.
Or, allegedly and famously, when we interview either of these two people, maybe they'll correct us, like another future episode that aired last month. There's allegedly Clooney and J-Lo could not stand each other.
Right.
And I don't know that I've ever seen better chemistry than in Out of Sight between those two. I wonder what Sapolsky would say about chemistry.
Me too. And how are we defining it, I guess, because chemistry on screen, I want to pivot it more to life, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's more
applicable
to everyone. Yeah.
Approachable,
Yeah.
relatable. R words, go.
Right. Ring. Oh my God, how fast do I need to go?
As many as you can get in 60 seconds.
Roly poly. Does that count?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so scared. Oh my God. Did they give you a score?
No. I wish they had. I'm so competitive.
Righteous.
Good, that's 3.
Throughout this episode. Ring around the rosy. That should count for multiple.
I figured out a trick and I don't know if I should give it to you or not.
Ooh.
By the way,
Don't give it to me.
Also, you don't want to cheat on it because the whole point of this test is a baseline. So if you take it in 2 years or whatever it is, and you don't have a cheat, it's going to look like you're in a nosedive cognitively.
Exactly.
So
I don't want to know the cheat.
Okay, but after you do it, I'll.
Okay.
Rob, have you done yours?
Nope.
Okay.
I have not.
Okay. So no spoilers until we've both done it.
Okay.
Anyway,
Chemistry.
so chemistry, this is one of those things that therapists will tell you sometimes that you're looking for the spark or the butterflies or which that to me is chemistry,
Yeah.
like electricity.
Yeah.
But often those are not really the people you're supposed to be with.
Yeah. But I've just had the other one that I actually think is kind of, it's hard to, it's so pointless to say. I'm inclined to say it's the kind that you should maybe resist.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that because those relationships didn't work out. But at the same time, one was 5 years and one was 9 years. Like those are huge wins.
Yeah.
So I can't really chalk those up to, I shouldn't follow that tidal wave of smacked in the face, love at first sight.
Yeah.
Because those are great relationships, 5 and 9.
But what was it about them? Like, was it banter or was it just like
Physical, but very specific physical.
Mm-hmm.
Like Carrie, I can see in my mind perfectly in 1992
Mm-hmm.
where she was standing on a balcony at this tiny apartment at a party wearing green felt pants
Yeah.
and this kind of hippie-ish shirt
Yeah.
and her blonde spirally curly hair. And she turned around and she has this insane smile, and not like insane smile like Cindy Crawford. Not like, I'm not saying this smile is like should be on the cover of him. It was like such a specific smile with the mininess and the way too big a hair
Yeah.
and the little felt pants. Like something happened where I was just like, oh my.
And you hadn't met her yet.
No.
Wow.
I mean, I vaguely knew that she went to my school and she was a pair of twins. So if that's going to get
Right.
you a little attention.
Sure.
I thought she was like a hippie.
Sure.
Wasn't my scene hippies.
Yeah.
Maybe, I just was vaguely aware.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden I was just like, Oh Lord, I'm now going to do everything I can that leads to me being with her.
Wow. And same with Brie.
And you know what I did? I found out what class she was in.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of the day on a Monday, that was like a Saturday I saw her.
Mm-hmm.
I went into her class in the very middle of
Oh,
class.
my
And I said,
God.
I'm so sorry. I have a message from the office for Carrie. And I walked to her desk and gave her a piece of paper and said, your boyfriend's number is 310-685, blah, blah, blah.
Smooth. Very smooth move. Smooth criminal. When you watch stuff like that, like when you watch the scenes between Adam and Kristen, and
Yeah.
when you watch I mean, this is why part of why some people think romantic comedies are problematic is because it is ingraining that is the thing to chase.
Love at first sight.
Love at first sight, and this like will they won't, this like these games.
Yeah, games. They're so fun.
Games are fun. We love games.
Yeah.
We love mind meld.
Monopoly, spades, chess. As many games as you can list in 60
Oh,
seconds. Go. Parcheesies, Candyland.
Twister. Uno. Rally. That's back to our words.
What if they would have said, name as many games as you can in 60 seconds? I mean, that's as legit as any
yeah.
other question.
That wasn't improv. It was called like Thunderstruck or something.
Oh, AC/DC.
Yeah. And then everyone
Thunderstruck?
would like, maybe it wasn't Thunderstruck. Thunderdome.
Thunderdome.
Yes. And two people would enter the Thunderdome and you'd have to
We
go back.
don't need another hero. We don't need another way out. All we wanted was beyond the Thunderdome. Watch this. Watch.
No.
What's
Oh, my God.
love? Sorry. Okay. Moving on. Got to do. Okay. Who needs
Oh my God, Dax. Come back.
Baby, come back.
Oh.
And a kind of fool could see. All right, Thunderdome. You would play Thunderdome.
Yeah, two people would go in and you'd go back and forth on a topic. on a theme or a genre or whatever.
And you'd go.
Yeah,
Right?
you would.
Yeah,
You'd do like some sort of chanting. Anyway, yeah, chemistry. It's interesting.
Yeah. So I guess what's.
Oopsies. All right.
What if that's something that people like? What if we accidentally revealed that we were insanely clumsy? Because no one would have known on audio, right?
Yeah.
But what if I was like, what episode is this? Oh my Jennifer, like we were largely free to be as clumsy. I just thought that because you clanked your
I did.
computer.
I'm a little clumsy.
Moderately.
Yeah, I
clumsy.
am.
Also, period.
It's on its way out.
Okay, it's waning.
Yeah.
Just a couple remnant flies here and there.
Yeah. Some hanging
Just a
around.
couple zzz.
Okay. Jon Stewart's real name is John Leibowitz.
I just glanced at your knees, so that's another thing that could get caught on camera now.
Okay.
I said just a few flies, just some remnants, zzz, zzz. And then even though I know that's a joke,
You look
I
for
glanced
flies?
at your legs to see if there's any flies.
That's
And now I just spit across the room at you when I go, fuck. This is going to show me out of show business.
well, I thought you retired anyway.
Yeah, I did, except for now I want to come back on Monkey.
Bad monkey.
Bad monkey.
That ding ding ding.
Is this for Bill?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Wasn't he fun?
So fun. Love him. I've always loved him from afar.
Yeah.
And
he's
I
your kind of
love
guy.
Scrubs so much.
You loved,
I loved it.
When I was hearing you talk to him about it, I felt like that was a reveal for me.
I loved it. Callie and I.
Borderline pop out.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think you've ever told me that.
No, remember we definitely talked about it because when we had Zach on,
Yeah.
that's the original Monica Loves Boys. Because there's a picture of me looking at Zach and I look very giddy.
Ah.
And Rob got the picture. That's the original. That's how that started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just really early on.
Oh,
so we
well,
forgot.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I loved that show. Callie and I watched it in college religiously, and we were obsessed with it. And it was our show. The show was very heartfelt, but at that time, right up my alley of comedy. Very absurd.
I have never watched it
Oh yeah.
other than my uncle, Rob, shout out Robbie, called my mother and said, Dax is on a new show. It's called Scrubs. He didn't tell anyone. And then I found it just to see, like, and I was like, oh my God, it's eerie.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I don't like the feeling of.
That's so funny that because you feel like you're too unique.
I don't know what it is. It's weird to see yourself in a show you didn't film.
Well, sure,
And
but
I'm
you know
just-
it's not you.
But then it starts to fuck with your identity a little bit. I'm like, oh, all this stuff that I think is so unique to me is kind of happening right here. Someone else is doing it.
Yeah.
I don't really need to know about it.
Yeah.
I think I could watch it now. In fact, I'm gonna do that. I'm
It's
gonna
a
watch
great show.
7
Maybe the
episodes tonight.
kids would probably like it. I mean, I haven't seen it in so long. I'm sure. I mean, at
That's a
this
good
point, it's
idea.
a while. It's old, so I wonder how it holds up.
But the kids are all about these. I told you they binge Brooklyn Nine-Nine and now they're on their second viewing of it.
yeah, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine is
Current,
yeah.
very current.
It's a lovely show. And also I didn't realize he did Clone High because Callie was obsessed with Clone High.
She was.
She's in the Bill Lawrence game.
Does she know she's
I don't know if she
all
knows.
in?
I don't think she knows.
Bill's her religion?
I don't think so. I have to let her know. Okay, so he said that if you type in most realistic medical show of all time, Scrubs will come up. I did do that. It did.
It did.
Well, it's a lot of people say ER and Scrubs,
Okay, great.
but it's in
John
there.
Wells and Bill, and they
And
both
Bill.
teach.
John and Bill.
That's interesting. Remember, he was saying John Wells teaches.
No, Orson Welles.
No, John
It
Wells
was?
teaches a show running
Oh,
workshop,
I thought he said
and so
something.
does Bill.
Yeah, he teaches disorganized
Yeah.
chaos.
And John Wells is ER.
Right. I
So
didn't
it's kind of
realize it was
funny
him.
that they both are teaching,
That is funny.
and they're tied for the most
Medical
accurate
man.
medical show.
He wrote the one with the candy hearts, that Friends episode.
Did you remember it?
Yes, I did. And I really kept quiet about my level of knowledge and fandom.
Oh, I interpreted your quietness is like, oh no, this is one of the only episodes
I don't
Monica didn't like.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's great.
It's a great episode.
It's a great episode. I'll read you a little clip. It's Valentine's Day, and out on his first date in 9 years, Ross meets up with his ex-wife. Meanwhile, Monica, Phoebe, and Rachel rebel against the spirit of the day by burning mementos of past relationships. Okay, the Will and Grace episode of Revisionist History is when Will met Grace. So you can find that on Pushkin. You can probably find that on everywhere you get your podcast.
I'm going to send that to Bill because I bet he'll have forgotten, and I bet he would love that episode.
Yeah. And then it was a nice little blast from the past when you brought up Brian Regan. Because Callie and I also liked Brian Regan.
You did.
Yeah. Wow. I wanted to do one more thing. I want to play.
Oh, do you know how to use? Have you ever seen that's an iPhone, Monica. It's an iPhone 13.
Wow.
No, the speaker's at the bottom.
Oh.
Yeah, just
Really
like an
like this?
yeah, you know, no, yeah, at the very bottom. There's the speaker. Yeah, that's not gonna get flagged.
That was her and Paul McCartney.
Keep on rocking in the free world.
That's fun. Yeah, how cool.
What is it like when you're Paul McCartney and everywhere you go, you're just like sprinkling the most memorable experience on people's lives? Like no one meets Paul McCartney and doesn't remember it and
For the rest of
doesn't
their
tell
life.
everyone.
Yeah.
You heard I told it to you in front of Bill, right?
Yeah, you've told it before, but you can tell.
Oh, I've
it
already
again.
told it before.
Tell
Yeah, no. No, just we were in an elevator at a press junket, and Kristen was holding Lincoln, and she was like a year and a half old. And out of nowhere, the doors open on a floor, and Paul McCartney stepped into the elevator, and he just looked at Lincoln and with the sweetest little cooey face, and he said, "Let me give you a flower." He was holding a flower, and he put it behind her ear. And then the doors opened, and he got off, and we were just like, "Oh my god, fucking Beetle just put a flower behind Lincoln." The flower.
Yes, and framed it.
Can you?
Well, I love Bill.
Me too.
Hey,
Yeah.
Monica, can you turn your mic around?
But- What's the word for that? Pineapple.
Bit gone bad. Yeah, great time with Bill. Super fun.
We love Bill.
We love a lot of Bills.
We do.
We have a lot of Bills in our life that we enjoy.
Draining bills. All right, love you.
Love you.